Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer this month for the month of February 2024. This is going to be the horoscopes for the 12 rising signs. So thank you guys. I'm excited to be back. We have some very big energies taking place this month. And if you guys are new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer with a focus on working both with the Sabian symbols as well as tarot to have a better understanding of what's going on in the cosmos. Thank you guys so much for checking out my channel. I'm excited to talk to you about what's in store. Before we get into that, I just want to give you guys some updates on offerings this month for my channel. I am offering all kinds of specials on love and relationship astrology. So I'll be offering a special report on your current love and relationship transits. If you purchase this report, you'll receive an emailed audio file on your current cycles. I'll be giving you tips on how to enhance your love based on your natal chart placements, and insight as to when and where Cupid may strike. I don't really do specials. Sometimes when we have things that are going on that are big in the skies, I will offer a report that kind of correlates with that astrology. And in honor of Valentine's Day, I think everybody could use a little bit more insight on their love life. I'm offering this at $75. And equally, for those of you guys who are partnered and you have been wanting to get a synastry reading from me, well, I am doing a special on that as well. I'm offering $50 off all synastry readings that are booked in the month of February. So likely you won't get the reading until closer to sometime between March and June, but I do have availability, and if you book it this month, I'm offering $50 off. Synastry is an awesome way to have a better understanding of your relationship to other people. So if you're just getting to know somebody, or if you've been married for some time, this is an awesome way to better understand your relationship, and also how you guys can come together, and some of the patterns in terms of relationship stuff like chemistry, communication, to better understand one another. So make sure you guys catch that this month. If you like my work, you can support me in a number of ways. First of all, you guys can give me a thumbs up. You can like this content because it really helps the algorithm. You can leave a comment below. Let me know if these were helpful, and do consider coming back at the end of February and letting me know how it played out for you. But if you like my work, you can also support me by joining my memberships. I have memberships on YouTube. I'm a full-time content creator putting out high quality, long content for everybody to learn more about astrology and also what's going on out in the world. Equally, if you guys would like to give me a tip or give me a little bit of sugar, there's the QR code right up here. You guys can scan that and you can give me a tip for all the hard work for getting this reading. I know it's tough right now. Not everybody can afford to get a one-on-one session. I create this content and try to simulate what it would be like having a one-on-one session with me, so everybody has some guidance as the year kind of progresses. So it's going to be a little bit more of like an intimate one-on-one setting once we get into the 12 rising signs. But once again, please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can catch me here live on Friday evenings. I'm here at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will be doing live readings on the channel. So we'll alternate between tarot and astrology. Generally, you'll see me post the link early on like Wednesday or Thursday on the community tab. So it pays to be a subscriber. That way you get a heads up. You can reserve your spot for a Friday night reading where I will be taking a look at either your tarot cards or transits to your natal chart live on YouTube. Great place to hang out. We have an awesome community. It never ceases to amaze me how many people show up and show support. But also, like, it's a great way to learn astrology, so you can kind of see it live in action, and I teach as we go. And if you'd like to book a personal one-on-one reading with me, I'd be happy to chat with you. My openings are going to begin in April and May of 2024. Equally, if you're wanting to ask for a Valentine's Day gift, I do have gift cards available on my website. You guys can find all of my information, including my courses where I teach tarot and astrology, my calendars. We have some very beautiful 2024 astrology calendars, both in digital and print, as well as my candle collection. So check out beyondtheveiltarot.com. While you are there, please sign up for my newsletter so that way you are alerted as to when I have new lectures or webinars, courses, and other products that will be coming out throughout this year. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to be doing transits that catch my eye. These are not all of the transits for February. If you catch the last astro weather at the end of January, I'll be touching on all of the transits and kind of take you guys through the month generally and how it's affecting the collective. These horoscopes are going to be more about your sun, moon, and rising sign. So I kind of pull from a list that I find are most interesting. Generally, there's a lot of them. And the truth is you're going to see a lot of repetition in terms of the patterns with some of the aspects that are being made this month. So you can take a screenshot of this. Equally, I've been seeing so many people in the comments asking me, when are the dates? Post the dates. The way that I record my videos, I'm recording my screen and you see me and then you see the screen. So we're kind of short on space for being able to put information about the dates, but I hear you guys, and what I'm going to do is this. I will start copying the dates and either pinning them to the comments or putting them in the description. So if you want to have a master copy of them throughout the next couple of weeks as you see my videos coming out, please check the comments. I will pin them, or check the description box. I will make sure that they are in there as well. Or you can take a screenshot of this so that way you know what's happening when. I will be breaking down these transits in depth more in the monthlies that we're going to be doing for the month of February. I just want to tell you guys how this stuff is aspecting your chart, and it seems kind of maybe funky, the format. I'm breaking it up a little bit because you're going to see that there is going to be several days back to back where you see like a burst of transits. Primarily, that's because we're going to be having Mercury and Mars and Venus all moving very closely together through the skies in the sign of Aquarius. And then we will be seeing all of those planets come into contact with Pluto. So conjunctions are the strongest aspect in astrology. It is a fusion of the two energies. February 2024 is going to be the month where Pluto is really knocking on all of our doors, showing us where personally and collectively we are embracing some kind of change or transformation for our greater good, for some sense of being able to be better prepared maybe for the future. So as you see these planets move together, they are going to make some of the similar aspects, not just the conjunction to Pluto, but you'll start to see planets coming into square with Jupiter in Taurus. So I'll break it all down for you when I look at it, but just keep your eyes open and be mindful that you're going to see a lot of repetition. So it's kind of like bringing up the same themes, right? Pluto is about change, transformation, endings, new beginnings, changes and transformation collectively, but also of our goals. Equally, we will see these squares to Jupiter as growing pains, or the need to really reevaluate our resources, our money, our banking, our budgets, what we're consuming. And we're also going to be asked to really step into really having a better understanding of what we define as pleasure, right? Taurus is about pleasure, so it's such a cool month to be talking about that in the midst of Valentine's Day. And yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. So these are the transits that catch my eye that I'm going to be touching on. I'll give you my hot takes on these transits, and then we're going to talk quickly about the ingresses. This is when a planet changes signs, so it ingresses from one sign to the next, so it's going to be a new theme. And then we've got the lunations, so the new and the full moon. Guys, we have all planets direct. There are no retrogrades. We are out of the shadow. Uranus is direct also now at the beginning of February, which means these Aquarius transits are particularly potent. What else? Next month in March, we're going to actually start the beginning of what's going to be yet another eclipse season. So I just want to remind everybody that even though we're in February and we're still more than a month out from these eclipses, you guys are going to start feeling the rumbles, the rock and the roll energy of this incoming change that will be taking place. So next month, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Libra at the end of March, and then the beginning of April, we'll have a solar eclipse in Aries. Eclipses can be felt weeks and months in advance, and they play out for some time. So you might start kind of feeling that change that's creeping up on us. Okay, so let's start with February 4th. Mercury enters into Aquarius. I consider this to be a place of exaltation. Essentially, this is going to be like a conspiracy theorist playground. Mercury going into Aquarius and the very next day coming into conjunction with Pluto. We are obsessed about something, talking about something. Some news breaks might be happening, some intense conversations, deep dives mentally into the unknown, right? Pluto, it can also represent the future. I like Mercury in Aquarius. I am also curious about the conjunction to Pluto because this is one of the first planets. So the sun already hit Pluto, and the sun and Pluto, ingressed into Aquarius at the same time around the 21st of January. But in the series of planets that will hit Pluto this month, Mercury is the first one, which basically means there may be some news that some big shocking surprise, some kind of change that affects a lot of people is coming. So the 4th and the 5th, both with that ingress and then in conjunction to Pluto at 0 degrees, is basically Mercury saying, hey, this change is coming. Now, on the 8th of the month, we're going to see the sun in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. Essentially, what this is going to bring is some kind of wild, card situation, right? The sun in its fall in the sign of Aquarius, coming into a square with Uranus, which is traditionally, or I guess more modern day, ruler of Aquarius. So squares in astrology provide tension. The sun is our own egos, our goals, and our desires. So collectively, when we look at that in Aquarius, collective energies, also collectively what's going on with groups of people, what's going on with the internet, with technology, coming into a square with Uranus and Taurus. So fixed signs, they don't like to change. Squares provide tension. This is a day where you don't want to push your luck, and be mindful that there can be some sudden changes or some pivots that can be taking place, especially within friendships because the sun's in Aquarius, and also within resources. When I think about this archetypally, because all month long we're going to see planets in Aquarius square Taurus, the planets are in superior position. So that means that all the planets moving through Aquarius are kind of beaming down on Jupiter and Uranus, enforcing some kind of new growth, some kind of new change. And it's basically saying, we're being asked to step into what our future potentially could be. And yes, Pluto says it could be scary. It could require us to give something up. But what we have to receive could actually bring us more freedom financially, or better self-esteem, or more security. But yeah, essentially really, really, really helpful, I guess, to lean into the changes, because if we don't, then we're going to find we're going to have to make these hard kind of course corrections that will be coming in Taurus season closer a few months from now this year. All right, so then we're going to see on February 12th, Mars is going to enter into Aquarius. So at this point, the sun, Mercury, and Mars are all in Aquarius. So Mars in Aquarius, and just Aquarius placements in general, because it's ruled by Uranus, there is this rebelliousness, there is this wanting to do something different, standing out in a crowd, going against the grain. So when Mars moves into this sign, this is also an indication that people are becoming a little bit more restless. They want freedom. I think of Aquarius as these masses and these groups of people. So you're going to hear more about what's going on in the world with these protests, people coming together globally, talking about freedom, talking about the ability to unite. So this unification that's happening in the Aquarius area of your chart is really prompting some new opportunity that's basically emerging. We'll see that also with the new moon in Aquarius, but it's going to force us to really make changes financially, right? It's the squares to Taurus. So Mars in Aquarius is basically saying when it comes to our drive, our passion, our desire, our energy, our frustration, we're feeling like we don't want to be told what to do. We're feeling like we want to unite with other people. Aquarius is an air sign, so it deals with being social, and it's about information and connecting, whether this is on the interwebs or within our friend group. This is also important, obviously if you're a Mars-ruled chart, so I'll talk about the chart rulers when we get into the 12 rising signs, but just be advised that once again, when a planet ingresses into Aquarius, it conjuncts Pluto. So you may want to reference back and think about, okay, what happened on the 20th and the 21st of January when the Sun Pluto came into conjunction, and you're aware that some incoming change is going to be happening. Then what happened when we got to the 4th and 5th of February, when Mercury conjunct Pluto, and then we started talking about this change, and we started seeing this kind of revolutionary talk, or this freedom-loving talk that started coming up in our lives. And then we have Mars coming into conjunction with Pluto. This is a much more intense, dare I say, kind of dangerous, combative energy, because we're taking the god of war, right? The planet of war, Mars, and we're conjuncting that with Pluto, the planet of death. So on one hand, this gives us an immense amount of courage and power and willingness to create change. On the other hand, we want to watch out for anything hot, anything sharp. There can be some conflict with friends. There can definitely be some drama that can be going on out in the world with politics. Not a day to be trying to kind of push your will on another person. Now, on the other hand, Mars and Pluto can be kind of sexy. So if you have an outlet like, you know, intimate time with a partner, or if you're really working towards your goals, or you're really focusing on transformation, and that's really what you're hoping to desire, or that's what you're hoping to achieve, then I think it could play out very well. But definitely the Mars-Pluto conjunction is a little bit more challenging than I think some of the other conjunctions. I want to remind you guys also that Mars rules the North Node. So wherever Mars goes, it's talking about how we are coming into that North Node in Aries, being more active, being more independent, being more self-sufficient. And it's about standing up for yourself, standing up for your rights. So with Mars going into Pluto, into conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius, I think this is talking about strength in numbers, where individuals feel maybe they can't do much on their own, but if they are working with a group, or networking, or collaborating with friends, or building a team, anything is possible and big changes can be made. Now, then we're going to see on the 16th, Venus enters into Aquarius. So we have this massive stellium that's going to be taking place in mid-February in Aquarius. Venus rules the South Node in Libra. Venus will move into Aquarius, and then obviously on the 17th, she'll conjunct Pluto as well. And that's like deep, passionate love, but it can also be about obsession and fixation. Endings or transformations of relationships, relationships also evolving because we're recognizing what we need to kind of let go of. The lovers, Mars and Venus, are going to be in the same sign. So we've got the South Node ruler and the North Node ruler saying, hey, we can learn from the past. We can take from what we've done in the past that didn't work, and we can work towards our future collectively together, Mars and Aquarius, and find a middle ground and find a way to actually be able to learn from what we've done wrong in the past and build collectively towards a future that feels like it's a win-win, that everybody is getting what they want. Anyway, Venus in Aquarius, a little quirky, a little futuristic. It definitely has a tendency to be more about platonic love, or it can be about the love that you get from more than one person, or the appreciation maybe that you're getting from a group of people. So if you're a Venus ruled chart, you're going to be feeling that pretty intensely. And the very same day, we will see Mercury in Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. So this is very interesting because Mercury is in Aquarius, the same sign as Venus. We're going to see a square to Uranus, which rules Aquarius. So there's some kind of like unexpected, conversations and communications in love. There can also be some kind of challenges when it comes to plans going, a bit sideways. When Mercury squares Uranus, there can be a difficult time communicating. We can feel overstimulated and overwhelmed. And definitely like communication breakdown or feeling frazzled in communications. That factored with like Venus moving into Aquarius, and then on the 17th, it comes into conjunction with Pluto. I think we're going to be definitely seeing some interesting things with the markets. I do feel like this would be one of those dates where we might see something going haywire with the banking system or with ATMs, particularly because Mercury is about electronics and gadgets and systems. So something about that makes me feel like there is some kind of breakdown energy there. Like I said, on the 17th, Venus conjuncts Pluto. This will be the last planet to conjunct Pluto. Everything has touched it now at this point since the 20th of January in mid-February. And we just have this massive stellium, Mercury, Sun, Mars, Pluto, Venus, all in Aquarius. it's almost like there's no stopping that train, right? There's no stopping that stellium of planets from basically saying, hey, get the show on the road. This is where we're going. You know, we gotta really focus on the future. On the, let's see, on the 19th of February, this is a pretty big energy. I have not made a video specifically about this yet, although I will preface this by saying I did a video with Lunatic Astrology with Lori that came out at the beginning of January, and we talked at length about the Chiron North Node conjunction in Aries. I did do a video that I touched on it, but I'm going to be doing another one now that we're getting closer. So there's lots of content that's out there if you want to hear me talk about this. Chiron will be coming into conjunction with the North Node in Aries at 16 degrees. So I think this is big. I think this is big for a number of reasons. I think that the North Node shows where we're all going for collective soul growth, and it can sometimes be strange and unusual and scary, and we don't know how to make it happen. Chiron is obviously about kind of bringing together these fragmented pieces of ourself and healing it. So when we put Chiron in conjunction with the North Node in Aries, it's about collectively we're all focusing on healing our own wounds. How it feels to be alone, what we're doing on our own time, how we're bettering ourselves, how we're actually doing the work, not just talking about it, you know, actually taking the active steps forward to be bettering ourselves, bettering our bodies, and really be looking at the wounds that we carry and recognizing that it's time to kind of step into that moment where we want to heal. Now, Mars rules the North Node in Chiron, so when that happens, you're going to be seeing that Mars is, you know, hanging out basically, coming out of a conjunction with Pluto and getting ready to come into a conjunction with Venus. If I were you, I would definitely take a look at my chart and I would look at where Aries is and I would say to myself, what can I be doing personally to kind of heal this area of my life? What actions am I doing? You know, what are my goals when it comes to my friendships? How can I align myself with people who are going to help me better myself? I do think that, you know, this factored in with eclipses at the beginning of April, Mercury retrograde in April in Aries. It's going to be bringing this up pretty significantly. So if you're not doing the work now, you're going to see that it's going to come up anyway in April. And I feel that this is a moment where we are all being called to no longer identify as a victim. This is a moment where we're getting in touch with the masculine side of ourselves, and we're saying to ourselves, where can I be brave? Where can I be a warrior? Where can I be willing to kind of face some of these wounds and really step up and heal these issues within myself? And I think a lot of it is going to require support, right, from the collective. Definitely Chiron can have this feeling of being separate in society or being cast aside or being rejected. Also, sometimes Chiron transits also come hand in hand with health issues because it's about healing stuff. So Aries can deal with everything from the military. It can be dealing with issues with veterans. It can be younger people because it's the first sign of the zodiac. And Aries rules the face and the head. So we might be seeing a lot more people who are suffering from migraines, issues with sinuses. We're more prone to cuts, burns, and abrasions because this is a planet, or this is a centaur actually, that's ruled by Mars. So watch for healing storylines to be taking place. I think that on the 21st of February, when we see Venus and Mars come into conjunction in Aquarius, this is very interesting because it's like right after we have that wounding issue that comes up, we have an opportunity to heal. And we're actually going to see Venus and Mars move side by side for a few days. So I think the conjunction is going to start on the 21st, and then we're going to see them kind of move 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees of Aquarius. So we'll see a couple of days where those two are conjunct. That generally means that there's more opportunity for, harmony, right? Venus and Mars, they love each other, but they were star-crossed lovers. So they can come together and there's more opportunity for intimacy, for pleasure, for romance. But in the sign of Aquarius, it's like what that looks like in the future, and that we're embracing having companionship, not just in a romantic way. We're also looking at it as what we're building with other people and our friendships, right? Nevertheless, it's good for everybody. Mars-Venus conjunctions, I like it, especially after it's moved away from Pluto. I do think that it can be, yeah, a week after Valentine's Day, but like, who cares? I also feel like having the North and the South Node ruler in conjunction is going to really help us like move forward. Now, here's where things get a little topsy-turvy. On the 24th of February, Venus in Aquarius will square Jupiter in Taurus. This is a day that you want to put the sugar and the credit cards away. Because Venus represents pleasure, it represents indulgences and luxury, and she's squaring Jupiter, so we can overspend, overeat, over romanticize something, and overly indulge. I do think it'll be great for crowdfunding efforts. I do think you're going to see a lot of people who are going to be like, hey, there's this like movement that's going on. If you want to be a part of it, you know, donate, or crowdfunding to be able to generate more income for artists and creatives. But it can have a over the top, too sweet, too much type of feeling that day. And then on the 27th, we're going to see Mars in Aquarius come into a square with Jupiter and Taurus. So like I said, a lot of repetition. If Venus square Jupiter makes Venus themes bigger, right? Mars square Jupiter is going to make Mars themes bigger. So it's like the argument over, you know, the overspending maybe that took place on the 24th, or the overdoing it, or the overindulging. Mars, when it's coming into a square with Jupiter, does increase or magnify the feelings of financial pressure, because Jupiter is in a financial sign. This can also promote arguments and conflicts. People can be a little heated. Remember, guys, having Mars and Venus in conjunction that whole week is just, people are just feeling very, very passionate. So passion can be taken to extremes. We could see that when, you know, Mars is conjunct Pluto, when Venus is conjunct Pluto. So we want to be watching our obsessions, our fixations, whether it's in relationships, if it's in consumerism, things that we're buying and what we possess. I keep explaining to everybody that probably one of the best ways to look at things right now is, do you want to have things or do you want to have experiences? Because if you're stuck in this never-ending cycle of buying, 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 consuming, 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 and you're not feeling happy, then maybe it's time to get off of the consumerism merry-go-round and take a step back and go, okay, I want to be investing in experiences. I want to invest in my relationships. I want to invest in new hobbies, not necessarily physical things. As Jupiter and Uranus get closer between now and April, we're going to see just excessive spending and people who are spending because they feel like that's going to bring them security, but it's a false sense of security. And there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things, but basically what I'm getting at is, I think our resources are going to be better spent investing them into things that actually bring us joy, rather than just feeling like we have a house full of stuff. So Mars square Jupiter may represent that tension or that conflict, or the pressure to pay off the credit card, or the pressure to be able to kind of keep up with what we've been spending. Tempers can flare, so definitely with the Mars square Jupiter, not the day to be pressing things, not the day to be going toe-to-toe or getting into an argument with somebody, because you never know with planets in Aquarius, they can just suddenly turn, right? Because there is a tendency for them to be a little buck wild, because, you know, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus doesn't want to be told what to do. Anyway, a lot of rebelliousness, right? And I think that it can be good, because it can mean that people are finally feeling like they can be their authentic selves. But it can be challenging when we're dealing with love or money, when suddenly we have a very quick shift, or we're kind of getting behind a certain cause, or we're following a certain trend. And the fact that it does have big effects on our self-esteem, it has big effects on our bank accounts, right? And then on the 28th of the month, we're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Pisces. This is going to be a cazimi that's going to be happening right around there, where there is something that might be revealed. It might be like an aha moment day. Something I've been thinking about a lot. I've been looking at this conjunction because it's going to be a triple conjunction. So we're going to see around the 28th, Mercury in Pisces, where it's in its fall. Okay, so it's hard to communicate and express itself because it's in a water sign that's more intuitive, ruled by Jupiter, and it's internal. Then we've got Saturn, which represents hidden limitations, boundaries, things that are kind of keeping us in the dark, or, you know, we're not getting a lot of transparency about boundaries, limitations, and I think leadership. And then the Sun. Okay, so like I said, I've been looking at this triple conjunction for a while. This will be right on the heels post a full moon in Virgo. We'll talk about that in a second. What is the Sun? Our energy, our egos, our goals. The Sun in Pisces is where we're winding down, right? We're kind of like preparing and getting ready more or less for what's going to be the new year, the real new year that's coming in March. And then Mercury conjunct Saturn represents that hardening of the mind, or you know, not seeing eye to eye about commitments, timelines, things like that. This conjunction is going to happen at a 9. I'll do a video on it, but I do feel like this is going to be a very important time to watch about, on one hand, where we're getting intuitive downloads, where we're having dreams, where we are needing to like really, really be practicing our faith. We need to be meditating. We need to be raising our vibration. There is a need to consciously take time to rest, recuperate, reflect, especially if we are feeling a bit under the weather, because that can be happening in Pisces. I've heard a lot of people talk about being sick. Saturn in Pisces does affect the immune system. And so guys, we have that conjunction between Mercury and Saturn, which could literally limit travel. We're also going to be seeing pretty soon, in the next couple of weeks, then Mars will come into Pisces. So we're going to see Mercury and Saturn and the Sun conjunct. And then down the road, we'll see Mars, Saturn, and Neptune conjunct. And that's going to be right around the Aries eclipse. It's foreshadowing that there is future limitations that are coming due to viruses or due to some kind of unforeseen conflict, or, you know, attacks or foreign wars. So I'm not saying this to be a buzzkill, but likely this conjunction that's happening is forewarning us something that's going to be coming that's going to limit our ability to have expression, communication, travel, transact, do business. But likely this can be something that's flying under the radar, okay? But thankfully we're going to have a Cazimi, so maybe we're going to see that something is being revealed. It's just really hard when you have Mercury conjunct Saturn and Mercury's not in a strong position. So what does it mean? Y'all got to tap in. You got to be really listening to your higher self. You have to be doing that work, asking yourself, you know, what's up in the ethers? What am I feeling? Something's coming, which I've heard a lot of people say as well. All right, so as a reminder, February 4th, Mercury enters Aquarius. So my Geminis and my Virgos, this is going to be important because your chart ruler's on the move. Watch for that. February 12th, Mars enters into Aquarius. So for my Aries and my Scorpio risings, your chart ruler's on the move. You're going to feel that. Pay attention, especially guys. Remember, planets conjunct Pluto. So there's going to be some big change that's going to be revealed. February 16th, Venus enters into Aquarius. So for my Taurus and my Libra risings, your chart ruler's on the move. Keep in mind, right around then, things get colorful because Venus will conjunct Pluto. February 18th, Sun moves into Pisces, so we are officially in Pisces season. So obviously, happy birthday to all of my Aquariuses in Pisces in the month of February. And then on the 22nd of the month, Mercury will enter Pisces, where it's going to be in its fall. So then again, my Gemini and my Virgo risings, pay attention. Equally Pisces as well, because Mercury will move into your sign. The first lunation we're going to see this month will be on February the 9th. This will be a new moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees. It's going to square Uranus. Let me just double check. I want to see where Jupiter is, but it is going to square Uranus. That's one thing that I do remember. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, by 1 degree. So this is a new moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees. It'll square Uranus. And then we are going to have the full moon that's going to be in Virgo. That's going to be on February 24th. And this is going to be at 5 degrees of Virgo. This will be with the ruler, which is Mercury, in its opposite sign. So Mercury is in opposition to the moon, so it's not thrilled. And Mercury is conjunct the sun, and it's coming into conjunction with Saturn. This is why I said just after this full moon, we're going to see that triple conjunction that's going to be taking place at 9 degrees. And it looks like that triple conjunction will be on February 28th. 2024. So watch for serious communications, commitments, secret limitations, secret opposition, right? Ugh. These are the things that we see. So with that being said, that's pretty much the transits at a glance. I'm going to take you through the 12 rising signs. So let's move to the next slide. So this will be the 12 rising sign horoscopes for February 2024. So here's how you can make the most of my readings, okay? First of all, I am a Western astrologer, which means I practice tropical astrology. That's what I look at. I am not a Vedic astrologer. 2, I will be using whole sign prediction method, okay? It's easiest for everybody involved. That means that I'm going to look at each of the 12 rising signs at equal position of 0 degrees. This can work especially for ingress charts. So I do recommend listening for your ascendant sign first, because I'm doing the transits obviously in zodiacal order. So if you listen to your ascendant sign, this means that I'm going to tell you quite literally where the planets are moving, and it's going to probably be the most accurate reading you're going to get. Then you want to listen to your sun sign, because the sun sign will tell you how the transits are impacting your happiness, your career, your overall sense of creativity, and maybe your romantic life. It's possible. And then listen for your moon sign, because the moon sign is going to tell you what you need for the next month emotionally, or what's kind of, going on for you within your home or your private life. The truth is that to get a well-rounded horoscope, you really want to listen to all 3 of these. Maybe next month in March, it's going to be really important during the eclipses to listen to the moon sign. But I always listen to my ascendant, my sun, and then my moon personally. Okay. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the 12 rising signs, and we'll take a look at what's happening for all of you for the next month. What's up, Aries and Aries rising? Welcome to February of 2024. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to chat with you and give you some insight on the transits for the month ahead. Just as a reminder, your chart ruler, Mars, is on the move. You are going to see Mars enter into the sign of Aquarius, where it's going to be joining a party of other planets in your 11th house. So what does it mean? Basically, Mars moving into your 11th house is going to put an emphasis on your goals, spending time with friends, socializing, and focusing on some type of action that you can be taking where you can support the collective. Watch for when Pluto and Mars come into conjunction. Likely it's a situation where you feel like there needs to be a total transformation in regards to your goals, especially when it comes to money and joint resources. You may be finding that you're spending a little bit more money on social activities, so that's part of it. You're also going to see at some point this month, Venus and Mars are going to come into conjunction. So this is really good news for you in general, for everybody, but Venus rules your 7th house of relationships, and it also is about money and resources and pleasure. So if you're single, go to all the parties, accept all the invitations, go out with the friends, do all of that stuff. It's going to likely lead to you at least being able to make new friends, but also there could be a romantic connection here. If you're looking for new clients and you're wanting to network here as well, Mars and Venus coming into conjunction could make it possible for you to meet just the right people who you could potentially offer service to, or you could potentially collaborate with and work with, which could be very beneficial for your finances, okay? The other thing you want to be mindful of is that there will be a North Node Chiron conjunction taking place in your sign. I'm going to touch on this for all of the signs, but it's especially important for you because this is about you healing yourself, your physical body. Loving yourself, feeling accepted, taking care of any wounds that you need to be healing physically or emotionally. And when this conjunction happens, Mars is going to be in your 11th house. So it looks like you're looking for some kindred spirits in a way. You're wanting to join healing groups or healing communities. Maybe you're wanting to learn about self-healing. Maybe you're wanting to learn about energy healing, Reiki, frequencies, things like that, because that's what Aquarius is all about. Really tend to your emotional needs as well, because this conjunction will be at a 16 degree, which deals with the past, healing maybe even themes revolving around home and family challenges, okay? All right. So on the 4th of the month, you're going to see Mercury enter into Aquarius. So the Sun and Pluto have already been there. They moved there just recently in January. When Mercury goes there, that's likely when you're going to start getting your invitations to go and join groups or networks, physically or online. So it can be that you're joining a new network, a Facebook group, and if you can't find one, start one. That's my advice. You may be really focusing on collaborating with other people, and you're recognizing that through collaborating with other people, it's bringing you better habits, better self-esteem, and also more opportunities with finances. Now, this can also mean that you're bringing something to a group of people. Maybe you're entering an online marketplace. Maybe you're going to local markets or farmers markets, or there's some collaboration with friends or with a new group. So that's the other way I could look at that. On the 5th, Mercury will conjunct Pluto. So this is where you want to watch for intense communications with other people. Be mindful also of like workplace gossip, or where there is some kind of rumor maybe, because that's what Mercury and Pluto can mean. And the truth is that, you could also be getting some kind of insight about future trends when it comes to investments. Take anything you hear with a grain of salt. Be very cautious, because a lot of the planets will start coming into squares with your second house, Jupiter and Uranus transit, which means other people can be trying to influence you or encourage you to spend money in a certain way. And there's no guarantee that that's going to play out, because Uranus seems to indicate there could be a bit of a wild card there. On the 8th of the month, we're going to see the Sun square Uranus, and likely that's where you're feeling the effects of, well, all this socializing or connecting with other people or doing more for other people is affecting you financially in one way. So squares represent pressure. So if this is all the parties, the invitation, the socializing, the get together, you're like, man, this is really crushing my wallet, that's possible. Or this could represent you having like a group of people or a team that's cheering you on and encouraging you to believe in yourself and to build yourself up and see your value and your worth. And you might find that people are more willing to be generous with you. On the 12th of the month, you're going to see the Mars transit. So Mars will move into Aquarius. So you really want to pay attention to the 12th and the 13th. That's when Mars moves into your 11th house, and then it will conjunct Pluto. I could potentially see some squabbles maybe with like money and resources in groups of people. Maybe there's a sense of you like doing some work with other people and you're questioning whether or not this feels good, right? Mars can represent conflicts and challenges. So there can be some financial drama around working with or collaborating with other people. So you want to watch for that. The other way of looking at it is that other people working with you can empower you, and it can make you realize that actually, you have the capability of growing your resources and doing more and having more connections. And it's really pushing on you to really change the way that you look at the work that you're doing and the collaboration with a group. You'll see on the 16th that Venus then enters into Aquarius. So this is bringing, romantic opportunities, financial opportunities to the group. It's allowing you to have pleasure through being with friends and like-minded people. Just after that, you will also see the same day, Mercury will square Uranus in Taurus. So some kind of conversation, communication, something on social media, something that's being said online is squaring Uranus. So, this is not the month to like be getting on Facebook or social media and be debating politics or, financial matters, because you're going to see there's going to be a little bit of friction. Then on the 17th, you're going to see Venus come into conjunction with Pluto. So that can represent, meeting somebody that you're really interested in, kind of falling head over heels for them or having a really strong attraction to them. But it can also represent obsession or fixation with a group, with a group kind of plan, or where you're being lured into something, so you want to be careful with that as well. I really feel like this is where you're starting to kind of realize like who is and is not in your corner as Venus and Mars come into conjunction with Pluto. On the flip side, this conjunction might indicate that, you're meeting somebody of high status and they can kind of help you when it comes to funding or promoting something that you're working on. On the 19th, we're going to see that's when you have the North Node Chiron conjunction. So this is all about healing the self, working on the self. You know, I could see like drama brewing where there could be some conflict with a friend, maybe with like the Mars, Venus, Pluto, and that could activate the Chiron North Node where you're kind of feeling singled out, or you're feeling like separate from a group, or you're feeling removed from a group. Or you could see that this is people, you know, coming and standing up and supporting you if you're feeling like you're, you know, being kind of cast out of something. So you might see people kind of rally on your behalf. This is also about physical healing, so pay attention to your emotions and the impact that it has on your body. Then we will see on the 21st of the month, Venus will conjunct Mars in Aquarius. So this is when Venus and Mars meet. And this is where there can be awesome parties, opportunities to meet people, socializing, getting together. The 11th house is also the money that you make from your career. So it's like what ends up coming from all of the hard work that you've been doing. So there can also be this feeling all month long that's like, my dreams are coming, you know, to fruition. My goals are being met. I'm, you know, being well received. There's a lot of positive things that are changing. And you may feel as if like this is that turning point where you're really getting to celebrate some of your accomplishments. Now, Venus and Mars do indicate romantic opportunities. So like I said, you know, be social with other people during that particular conjunction. On the 24th, we're going to see Venus in Aquarius square Jupiter in Taurus. So this could literally materialize as a woman or a female partner or a female friend. That's, you know, basically encouraging you to grow something, to build something, to invest in something. Jupiter can be about travel. Jupiter can also be about, you know, your dreams. So it might be somebody who's like really encouraging you to be investing in yourself and building towards your dreams. Obviously, it's a day where there can also be like too much indulgences. So watch for that as well. With eating, drinking, partying, that kind of stuff. On the 27th of the month, we're going to see Mars in Aquarius square Jupiter in Taurus. And so this is where you are also finally maybe, you know, coming off of what's been a month of people who have been really pushing you to evolve and change and, you know, do more in a collective group mindset. This is a day also where there can be sudden moves financially, which can be costly. So there can be a decision about, I want to, you know, cut spending, or I, you know, want to stop in investing my money in this thing, or, you know, I'm cutting ties with a friend. We're not seeing eye to eye. You can be a little bit more testy when we see this square that's going to be taking place. So be mindful of that. Mars will square Jupiter. So when that happens, you can be feeling a little bit more testy. And on the 28th of the month, we're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Pisces. And then we will see Mercury and Saturn there. So it's going to be Sun, Mercury, Saturn, all in your 12th house. So they will have moved into here. For me, this seems like it's a time to really focus on your health, get more rest and recuperation. I think you're going to need a little bit more downtime. I would be taking time actively to meditate. I would be taking time also to do some kind of spiritual work. There may be a really prominent dream that comes from this, like you have some feeling about something that's coming to an end. Be a wonderful time to meditate and also journal, because the third house lord Mercury will be in the 12th, or be, you know, reading some tarot cards and reflecting and asking yourself how you can have better mind-body balance. That seems to be the real key here. Now you'll see a new moon that's going to be in Aquarius. That'll be on the 9th, and it'll be in your 11th house. And it's going to be setting the stage for setting new intentions revolving around socializing, network, goals, and friends. And that new moon's going to square Uranus. So it likely is trying to get you out of your comfort zone. It's trying to make you make a change, maybe in where you're shopping, where you're spending your money, you know, some of your personal financial goals, and also some big changes to your values. You know, when we have a new moon that squares Uranus, it's basically saying like, okay, this is a wild card. You're being asked to step into something that's new. It's about your future, and it's about evolving your resources. We will see that planets will be, you know, still be kind of hovering, you know, around those degrees in Aquarius. So we might see reactivations later in the month. Then on the 24th, we're going to see a full moon in Virgo. So this full moon is going to be in your 6th house. And remember, it's going to be right around the time when we have this full moon that we're going to have the triple conjunction in the 12th. So it's like if there's so much partying, celebrating, going out, socializing, I kind of feel like by the end of the month, you're like, I am spent. I need to be getting back on track with my work schedule, my sleep schedule, healthier habits. And whenever you have planets in the 12th house, which can represent healing and kind of hiding away or resting or, like staying in bed, and we have planets or a full moon in the 6th house, it's like health related matters. So it's very likely that you could be, I'm not going to say you will, touch wood, feeling a little run down or under the weather. So if that's the case with the full moon in your 6th house, if you need to go to the doctor, if you need to end a bad habit, if you need to take a mental health day or, stay home from work or from school, it would not surprise me. Really manage your energy the best you can at the end of February, because it's very likely that you can be feeling quite run down. And if you're running yourself ragged, by the time Mars is getting into your 12th house, very likely you could be finding that you're like, burnt out and, not feeling so hot. Full moons in the 6th house are always a time to watch our health, but that factored in with planets going into your 12th and the North Node conjunct Chiron. You're going to learn this month that there is such thing as too much of a good thing. And I don't know if that's just time with your friends or, if that's just going to be spending habits, eating habits, but watch for overdoing it this month. That's my advice, and really be focused on the future of your goals. Well, the card that you get here is the Two of Coins. Okay, so this is about balance. Okay, so he's doing a little bit of a balancing act here. Moderation is a theme that comes up with the Two of Coins. You may feel like you're going back and forth about wanting to make a financial move or decision. I could definitely see that here with squares from your 11th to your 2nd, where you're like, I have these goals about the future and like I want to make it happen. I want to grow something. Take your time, balance everything out, really think things through before you make any big investments. I will tell you that, we're going to see some big money things happening as we get closer to the spring. So we'll see like in, April and May, when planets are coming into conjunction with Jupiter or Uranus, there's going to be some major financial changes. But I think right now you're being encouraged to like look into what you can do to really expand on your resources. But I would not do anything. I wouldn't be too hasty, right? Good luck, Aries. We've got Taurus and Taurus rising. What's going on, guys? Welcome to February of 2024. I hope you are doing well. This is your reminder that your chart ruler Venus is on the move this month. So you're going to be seeing Venus leave Capricorn and move into Aquarius. And my goodness, Taurus, this is a month for the books when it comes to your career. Look at this massive stellium in your 10th house of career and reputation. If you are not somebody who works, then it can indicate just responsibility to the collective, relationship with parents. But this can really represent the dawn of a new era when it comes to your professional reputation for most of you. So Venus will go into Aquarius, and this is bringing more beauty and harmony when it comes to your relationships with people in a professional work sense. You are Venus, so likely you're finding yourself just working your butt off this month, really focusing on working with a team, collaborating, connecting with people online or some kind of group of people of some sort. Now, Venus is going to make several interesting aspects, actually a lot of them, and you're going to notice that all of these planets in your career sector are really pressing on you. So there's more of you having to show up, you being visible, you being in the front, you being a leader. Venus's ingress into Aquarius will be met with a pretty quick conjunction to Pluto. So you want to watch for this. This is going to be happening around the 16th and the 17th. So I'll go through the list of things, but know that Venus will move in here and there's like a really significant change or transformation, or maybe you're working with a new business partner, maybe you get a new job. There could be a big transformation to your status in regards to relationships. There could be big announcements going on about your relationship status or your career and who you're working with. The other thing you want to watch for is that Venus is also going to eventually meet with Mars. And I really feel like whatever connection is being made, whether you meet somebody romantically in the workspace or you find the perfect client or the perfect collaborator, there's a lot of you creating something with another person. Now that can be a friendship as well or a new group of people. And then also you'll see Venus square Jupiter, where I feel like you're getting a lot of applause or a lot of recognition, or people are really celebrating you, and it's like a time for you to soak it all in and really enjoy that. Taurus, you've worked really hard, and you've got Jupiter and Uranus in your first house, and these squares that are happening are just asking you to kind of put yourself out there, be seen, receive the compliments, take the high fives, get the pat on the back, and really allow yourself to just like soak it all in, because like this is like kind of your moment, Anyway, you may also feel that managing a group of people, the pressure of your professional life, things that are going on, is making you feel restless, and it's making you feel like you would rather be traveling, or you would rather be studying, or that it's uncomfortable being so visible now, and that people are making comments about the job that you did or how you look, things like that. And you might find yourself kind of rebelling a little bit, right? That might be happening here. All right, so February 4th, Mercury enters Aquarius. You're really focusing on talking about the things that you love. This will be in your 10th house of career. It might be parenting things or new creative projects that are being promoted at work. Romance can be found in the workplace here as well. And you're trying to want to create an atmosphere where work feels like play and you can be creative. On the 5th, Mercury will conjunct Pluto. Really important, powerful conversations with other people. Could be some kind of contracts that are going on, or you discussing the future of your professional business ideas. February 8th, Sun in Aquarius will square Uranus in your sign. So likely there can be some power struggles with another person at work, or somebody who's trying to apply their will on you. There can be issues with men at work, or feeling like people are overpowering your will. On the 12th, we're going to see Mars enter Aquarius. So then there's more action, competition, competitiveness in the workspace, or maybe you're kind of feeling like people are being a little bit of a bully. Somebody at work can definitely be getting on your case about something, especially on the 13th when Mars conjuncts Pluto. Now, Mars and Pluto in conjunction does make me feel like there is some public challenge or opposition, or somebody who might be calling you out or trying to kind of pick a fight with you. So be mindful that that energy is there. On the 16th, we're going to see then Venus enter into Aquarius. So this is where you're kind of like saying to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to let that get me down. I'm focusing more on what I'm building. You can feel like people are being really critical of you. And I think with Venus coming in, it's about handling it with grace. But once again, on the 17th, Venus will conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So this represents some like big transformation, some public transformation, some maybe you're going to be like, if you own a business, maybe you're going to be rebranding something. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting. It's also possible that there is some kind of support coming from a spouse or a business partner or something that's like helping you like build like a super team when it comes to your professional stuff. Okay, so on the 16th, you'll see Mercury in Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. And I feel like this is where it's going to be harder for you to be a team player. Like there's going to be a sense of you not always getting along with the people you're working with, or some difference of opinion. So be mindful that there can be sparks that can be flying in terms of your belief systems, and whether or not you're agreeing with people at work. Equally, Mercury rules money and resources, so there can be some new things happening in the work sphere, and it's really about money and where you're spending money or budgeting at work. And there can be some arguments revolving around who's responsible for what, or whether or not there's enough money for things in the budget, or there can be some cuts going on. Certainly, Venus, Mars, and Pluto in the 10th house is like, some of you guys who are bosses or employers, you may feel like there has to be some changes and you're having to cut back on something, even though you may not want to do that. Mercury can also rule children, so I could definitely see some real challenges in terms of like learning how to parent in a way where you're not feeling domineering, but needing to kind of set things straight and being direct with your kids, and maybe being a little bit more stern. On the 19th of the month, we are going to see that you will have, oh, I take that back. 17th of the month, Venus conjuncts Pluto. So that's the day you want to watch for, where there can be some intense power things going on at work. This is maybe when you step into your personal power. You're really obsessed or fixated on something work-wise, or wanting to, transform something. You're very passionate about what you're doing out in the world. And there can definitely be some like romantic opportunities at work. I could see that happening here, where there could be like an intense fixation on someone or something. Then we're going to see on the 19th, Chiron in the North Node will conjunct. This will be in Aries in the 12th house. It's ruled by Mars, and you've got Mars and Venus and Pluto together. So maybe there's some stuff going on. Maybe there's something brewing. If you have a business partner or romantic partner or a spouse, there could be something brewing where like success is definitely happening, but at what cost? And can it be bringing up some issues in regards to a relationship behind the scenes? Maybe you're dealing with matters where relationships are a little tense privately and you're not wanting to put it out in the open. I definitely feel like this is also like you feeling like you need to take time to be alone, to be able to kind of integrate and do some work on yourself. So you need more rest, recuperation. You need time maybe to be doing spiritual work or to be working out in private. Then we're going to see on the 21st, Venus and Mars conjunct. So this can be one of the days where magic is happening in the workplace. You're really building together with a team. You have maybe a new partnership or a new client that's developed, and that'll run for a couple of days. So it's really good for obviously for a lot of things, but it's really good in terms of your public relationships and working with another person. Then we're going to see on the 24th, Venus will square Jupiter. So this is where too much of a good thing, too much work, too much exposure. And I say too much like loosely, but in your case, there's a lot of people who are liking what you're doing, or a lot of people who are seeking your guidance or your advice or your, teachings. And it can be a day where I think a lot of people are just really appreciative of what you're putting out there and how you're helping people. Then we're going to see on the 27th, Mars will square Jupiter. So Mars squaring Jupiter means that there can be some sense of people being a little bit more demanding of you, parents, partners, and this can definitely bring a little bit of pressure. So keep in mind that all of these planets moving through Aquarius is squaring you. So yes, you're starting to see the fruit of all of your labor, kind of be put out there, and there's a lot of hard work to be done, but all of this is definitely very draining for you, Taurus, and it feels very demanding. So the Mars square Jupiter might be a day where, people are asking just too much of you, and you really just want to take your time and pace yourself. Then we're going to see on the 28th of the month, a Sun, Mercury, Saturn conjunction. This will be taking place in the sign of Pisces. It will be in your natal 11th house of goals, friends, and other people. So essentially for you, this might be a time where you're, having a serious conversation with a friend. This might be about joining a spiritual group or making a commitment to be sharing some of your own personal creative stuff with others. Mercury is about money and creativity or children, and Saturn is obviously about, what your beliefs are or your participation in some kind of group situation. I do feel like this may be just about you recognizing like, okay, I've been doing a lot of work. Now I really need to be kind of shifting gears, and I need to go and celebrate and be with other people. And I need to be around other people who are also going to, appreciate me. It's a time to really focus on friendship, heart-to-heart conversations with friendships and people who, have your back. It might be a time where a friend is revealing something to you and letting you know something. It can also be a time where somebody can be talking to you about setting you up with someone, because Mercury rules your 5th house. You might have a friend, if you're single, who's like, I know the perfect person for you, or I want you to meet this person. That can be coming up here as well. What's nice is that when you have that conjunction, it is sextiling Jupiter and Uranus in your sign. So it might be also talks about potential holidays or future planning of travel. that can be going on with like-minded people. And then finally on the 9th, you're going to see a new moon in Aquarius. So after all that Aquarius energy, it's going to be building all month, but you're going to have a new moon. So you're planting new seeds here in regards to your career and reputation. It squares Uranus, so it's still asking you to grow. It's asking you to expand. It's asking you to change, be flexible, move around. You're not going to want to do that. So be mindful that whatever new things that are going on at work, it's prompting you to, to evolve, to be willing to do things differently. Then we'll see a full moon in Virgo. This is going to be at 5 degrees. It'll be in your 5th house of romance, creativity, and children. What's going to happen here is it's an awesome time to complete creative projects, to go out on dates, to have more romance, to spend time with your kids. But it'll be in opposition to that brewing Saturn-Mercury Sun connection. So it looks like it's going to be about focusing more on happiness and joy. And then you're going to realize actually that's about spending time with other people, or that's about, connecting with my social group. And we're going to see that Mercury is going to be in its fall. So, I think for me, this really kind of indicates that in order for you to find joy and pleasure, you're recognizing that it's not just you. It's about other people too, and you're having to kind of take into consideration other people's happiness. This is a fellow Earth sign, so I think in spite of the opposition to Saturn and Mercury, some of the trine energy that you're going to kind of pick up here slightly to Jupiter and Uranus can be, quite positive, and it's really amplifying your joy. It's really helping you change something about your body, your appearance, or your self-expression. But definitely a full moon in the 5th house, not bad. It can be a rather romantic month ahead. So let's see what cards you get here. Ooh, I get the 9 of Cups. I like it. I'll take that. Ask and you shall receive. What do you want? Right? What do you want? And I really think this is more actually about, I think this is going to be more about planets going into Pisces in your 11th house. Because that is going to be about goals and wishes. I also could see, because wishing and wish fulfillment can have some connection to Jupiter. All of these planets in the 10th house, is just this very big energy of, a lot of responsibility, a lot of work. And the squares to Jupiter is like, be careful what you wish for. You may get exactly what you want, and then you realize like, wow, this is just so much. This is bigger than I ever thought it could be. Recognize that so much about the planets in Aquarius in your 10th house, and also Pluto there, is recognizing that you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with a team. There is a group of people that you're building, or that you're bringing together, or that you're collaborating with, so you don't have to be like the shall answer man. But it is possible that you get exactly what you're asking for, what you're wishing for. And I think that this can be a really awesome month for you in terms of big transformations with your career. Good luck, Taurus. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. You are going to be feeling the effects of some Mercury transits this month, my Geminis. So first of all, welcome to February of 2024. That's the transits we're going to be talking about this month for you. So Mercury is going to change signs twice. We're going to see Mercury go into Aquarius, where it's going to be really focusing on your higher mind, law, legality, travel, higher education, and publishing. And then we will also see Mercury shift gears, go into Pisces, which is going to be more about your career and your work and your reputation. The end of the month is going to feature a very significant transit for you, and this is going to be on the 28th. So Sun, Mercury, Saturn are going to come into conjunction, and that basically means serious conversations and commitments about your future, not just your career, but also I think your home. So there can be, big contracts with career, big commitments with work, big decisions going on also in regards to what you're willing to take responsibility for at home with your family, or there can be some kind of like future planning going on there, which makes sense because you're going to have a full moon in Virgo. Anyway, watch for the Mercury ingresses. Watch for when Mercury comes into conjunction with outer planets. We'll see one with Pluto and one with Saturn. So on February 4th, Mercury enters into Aquarius, okay? So you are on the move. You may be traveling. You may be going to school. You may be learning something new. The very next day, Mercury will come into conjunction with Pluto. So this is about intense communication. Maybe you're really focusing on health and wellness because of Pluto's connection to the 6th. Maybe you're trying to schedule travel. Maybe you are trying to learn a new skill or a new habit. You know, the trines to your ascendant is really positive. The 9th house is a house that's about kind of your world expanding and things unfolding, and you're seeing the bigger picture of your purpose. So with all these planets in Aquarius, you should be thriving this month, Gemini, because you have a lot of support with these trines. But Mercury, Pluto, watch for intense conversations, communication. This is also about really making some big transformations in regards to what you believe in. On the 8th of the month, you're going to see Sun in Aquarius come into a square with Uranus in Taurus. So the Sun will be in your 9th house. It's squaring Uranus. This is an anything goes day where there can be sudden, unexpected communications about travel, change of travel plans that can be happening, especially if it's foreign. There can also be changes in regards to your belief system that can be shifting here as well. Then we're going to see on the 12th, Mars enters into Aquarius. So Mars is lighting up your 9th house. So perhaps maybe you're going on a trip, you are traveling, you are initiating something legal or a lawsuit. Maybe you are making the decision to travel with a friend because Mars's connection to your 11th house. And you'll see on the 13th, Mars comes into conjunction with Pluto. So you want to watch that conjunction. It can represent that, you know, there is some kind of power struggle or challenge or, you know, scheduling issue that deals with, you know, having to really push your will to get there on time, to get into the program, to meet your deadlines. And yeah, you're having to actively really work on faith and education. Then we're going to see on February 16th, Venus enters into Aquarius. And so this is an opportunity for love at a distance, a love of studying. Maybe this is going on a trip with somebody, really focusing on the future and how positive and bright the future can be. I could see a lot of people that are like actively being like, okay, I'm sitting down and writing my novel, or, you know, I'm going on that 2-week adventure, or I am applying for a new, you know, degree. All of this energy all month long is just very strong with these topics. Then we're going to see Mercury in Aquarius square Jupiter in Uranus. Excuse me. Mercury in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. Hello. So Mercury in your travel sector or in your education sector squaring Uranus. So that makes me feel like there is some unexpected kind of wild cards when it comes to scheduling and planning. Like if you're somebody who's planning on going somewhere, oh my goodness. I mean, you know, you might see changes in flights. There might be some changes to your schedule. And also just having some blind spots when it comes to things that you don't see coming with travel. So be mindful of that all month long. All right, so then we're going to see on the 17th, Venus in Aquarius will come into conjunction with Pluto. This can also represent some kind of foreign affair, connection with somebody abroad, you know, really becoming obsessed or fixated with your faith and some kind of practice. Then we'll see on the 19th, Chiron will conjunct the North Node in Aries at 16 degrees. So that's bringing up healing in regards to your friendships and your social life. This is ruled by Mars, which will be in the 9th. So I feel like, honestly, you may be wanting to connect with groups who may be at a distance or afar, who are interested in astrology, Reiki, healing. You might be trying to get a certification in these things. So you might be like going to, you know, doing astrology classes. You might be going and learning and doing your Reiki work. Maybe you're meeting with a group of people who are considered healers. I could see that happening. And your healing wounds revolving around your place in a community. So you might be having to connect with people who are further away, but you're still building this community. On the 21st, we're going to see Venus and Mars conjunct in Aquarius. So this is cool because I feel like this is an opportunity to find love abroad. This is an opportunity to connect with like-minded beings who have an interest in spirituality and health and healing. It might be a time where you're feeling really involved with world or global events and you're feeling inspired about that and you're wanting to write about it, talk about it. And also like the ninth house deals with like divinatory practices too. So I could see a lot of people who are like wanting to learn these things. Traveling with a friend can happen. That can also be an awesome way to use this energy. So be going and visiting somebody who lives further away or vice versa. Then we're going to see on the 24th, Venus in Aquarius will square Jupiter in Taurus. So Venus in here will square Uranus here. So that can represent obviously like unexpected opportunities for love and connection. That can also represent something involving, creative endeavors kind of popping up or, feeling suddenly inspired and needing to paint, draw, take photos, do other like 12th house things that can be about the creative process. On the 28th, we're going to see Mars in Aquarius square Jupiter. So Mars is in your travel sector and it's squaring Jupiter. I do feel like there is this sense of maybe like being a little bit back and forth with somebody and then being like, I'll come to you or I'll come see you. Jupiter rules your relationships and it also is about career. So it is possible that, you are trying to get work done, but you're also, trying to travel and you kind of make up your mind and you'll be like, okay, this is the day that I'm coming to you. So you're kind of having to balance two things. And then you'll see on the 28th of the month, there is going to be the Sun, Saturn, Mercury, Pisces conjunction. So we are seeing all this in your 10th house. So if the Sun represents communication, contracts, Saturn represents some kind of legally binding thing, or it can also represent some kind of transformation, and Mercury is you. Watch around the 28th for like signing important documents, legal documents, a change to your status, signing an agreement at work or a proposal, making a big commitment. I also look at the 9th house and this can be like ceremonies. So I could definitely see some people who are like, talking about getting engaged, talking about getting married. And then as we're getting into this conjunction in the 10th house, that status change. If you guys are also dealing with, documents pertaining to travel or pertaining to citizenship, that can be coming up here as well. On the 9th, we're going to see a new moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees here, which is nice. So it's helping you maybe plant more seeds in regards to your belief system or travel. And it'll be trining your sun, moon, or rising. So it's helping you kind of feel like you can communicate, move around, or be more free. And then you will also see a full moon in Virgo, and this will be at 5 degrees. And that'll be on February 24th. So remember that I said that, okay, you're going to have this triple conjunction in your 10th house. It's after the full moon that you're going to have here when that's building. So full moon in the 4th house can provide you with like an opportunity to move, to change homes, to complete a build process, to sign a contract. There could be some big news going on with your family or with your roommates or with your spouse that you live with. The ruler at the time will be Mercury and it'll be in the 10th house. So I could definitely see some of you guys going, I just got a work offer, but I'm going to have to relocate. Or, I am deciding to quit my job and move to another place. Or I'm quitting my job and I'm moving back home. Or I'm looking for a job and while I'm looking, I'm going to go and move to this other place. That seems to be indicated, especially because the 9th house can talk about, further relocations or we're kind of like moving further away. So something about home and career are kind of affecting the two. And it may be that there is like an opportunity, to move away at a further distance. You're looking for job opportunities elsewhere, right? I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but when Mercury's in the 9th, it's about how sweet the future can be or what the future looks like and like how far you're willing to go to make changes. And then at the end of the month, you make some kind of commitment. I do feel like there's serious, not just conversations, but your mind is on work at the end of the month. And you're really thinking about what's going to be best for your home and also for your family. So watch for that, and maybe some serious meetings or some timelines that are being issued at work. That's possible as well. If you're somebody who's also working in like education or teaching or law, that seems to keep getting indicated because you have a stellium of planets in the 9th house, and then you have that triple conjunction at a 9. So I feel like it could be extra positive for those of you guys who have those types of careers. All right, so let's see what the cards say for you. The card that I get is the Moon, which is like something's coming. I don't know. I have a feeling. Certainly, all the planets in the 9th house about the bigger picture, squaring your 12th house can basically be giving you an idea through dreams, through visions, through your intuition, like what's coming. So yes, I think there's some truth to that. I also feel like it can be talking about quite literally around the full moon. And I know that that full moon is going to be so damn active for you because it's going to be in an angular house. So when you have a full moon in the 4th house, it opposes your career, brings you into your home and your emotions, squares your ascendant, squares your descendant. So if things feel bigger, and that full moon will kind of, it will be in opposition to Saturn. So Gemini is going to be the T-square of this particular full moon, which basically means you got to communicate, you got to talk your way through it, you got to negotiate, you got to find a middle ground. Listen to your intuition this month. There might be some things that you're kind of like, I have this feeling like this thing is brewing, and like you have to listen to that because likely it's going to help you have a better understanding of what's coming. And then likely, I think around the time of the full moon, you're going to see that revealed. Okay? Good luck, Gemini. I've got Cancer and Cancer rising. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to February of 2024. Essentially, Cancer, I just want to remind you, you may start feeling the eclipses that are coming up soon that are going to be beginning at the end of March. So usually we start feeling those about a month or so ahead of time. I want to remind you that these eclipses will be taking place in your 4th house of home and family, where there's big changes, moves, relocations, remodeling, letting go of stuff, clearing out closets, or maybe going back home. And then you're also going to see an eclipse that's going to be in Aries that's about your career and building in this direction of your future growth and independence in terms of your public status. Okay? Watch for the moons this month. We are going to see that there will be a full moon that will be taking place in the sign of Virgo. For you, that's all going to be about your neighborhood, your community, conversations with a sibling, some kind of change maybe happening with a vehicle. Maybe you have to sign a document, or there is something new that you're learning. Okay, so the full moons always impact you pretty significantly. So let's talk about what's going on for the rest of the month. All right, so we're going to start first with addressing the fact that there is this just monster of a stellium that's in Aquarius. Everybody's going to have it somewhere. You're going to have it in your 8th house. Recently, Pluto moved into this house in January and met with the sun. So likely, debt, taxes, financial matters, making money, having support, going through changes when it comes to emotional vulnerability and intimacy are all hot topics. Yes, the 8th house is death, but if there's anything that the 8th house has taught me is that whatever is ending because something new is coming in, so you're creating space. So can there be some financial pressures, some financial crisis, some tax matters? Can there be some grief and some things ending this month? Yes, there can. But what you really want to work with is the squares to Jupiter and Uranus, where it pays to have support of a group, good friends, optimism, and really be focusing on your goals. The more that you do that, the more that you can embrace the things that are changing, right? So February 4th, Mercury enters Aquarius. This is going to be the first planet this month that we're going to be looking at that'll enter. I do feel like this is about documents pertaining to cars, vehicles, insurance, or maybe having to pay something back in regards to vehicles. Maybe you owe a sibling something. Maybe you have to have a really intense conversation with somebody because the very next day on the 5th, it will conjunct Pluto. So I do think it's about, other people are coming through this month and they're wanting to get paid. whether this is like credit card bills or this is loans, or if there is, you know, your partner who's going through a big financial shift. All these planets in the 8th house can impact them as well. But I think that something about Mercury and Pluto makes me feel like it's an important conversation that you're having about joint resources or something involving a sibling, or cost of moving expenses can be coming up here. Then you're going to see on the 5th, so Mercury and Pluto will connect. On the 8th, the Sun in Aquarius in your 8th house will square Uranus. So it's almost like you're like, I am in need, you know, is there somebody who can help me? You want to be really careful with borrowing and lending with friends with these placements, because there can be, you know, you lending to somebody who can't pay you back, or you borrowing from somebody and there can be some tension. I do feel like really, because all of these pressing kind of financial matters, either for you or for a partner, is pressing on the 5th house, it's like really getting you to think about what your goals are, how you want to spend money, how you want to make money. The positives of this is having access to other people's resources. So it's likely that you're kind of mixing and mingling with people who are kind of higher class, they have more money, they're better connected. So this could be you having a lot of access to somebody's resources, like getting an inheritance, getting a tax refund, your partner somehow gets a windfall. Maybe there is some kind of settlement that gets paid out, or some kind of, you know, child support, spousal support. So you have that access to resources, but the question is what are you going to do with it? All right, so then we're going to see on the 8th, Sun squares Uranus. So watch for that tension in terms of joint resources and sharing with others. On the 12th, Mars moves into Aquarius. So this is giving you the opportunity to really do some healing, to do some cutting, some purging, some purification. It might mean that you're healing some kind of trauma connected to your heart space or your inner child. Equally, this can definitely be about child support for some people, you know, getting your resources if you need support. And Mars rules your career. So I could see some of you guys really focusing on like taking accountability, you know, being a leader, you know, facing your issues head on, working through it, especially in the form of, you know, healing trauma, psychological work, spiritual work, shamanic work, and really facing those skeletons in the closet head on. When Mars comes into conjunction with Pluto, which will be happening on the 13th, you know, for some of you guys, it can be a time where there's a lot of opportunity for passion and romance. Certainly Mars and Venus in the 8th house can be kind of sexy. But it can also be a time where you're cutting something out, or you're clearing something out, or, you know, you're hearing that somebody else is making budget cuts, job cuts, you know, expense cuts, or a partner's telling you that they're cutting back. So lack of funding can also come up as well. So you want to watch for that. And then, you know, when Mars is conjunct Pluto, it can also represent just really powerful purging and purification. So I could see this being a time where you're like cutting out bad habits, or you're doing some energy healing, or maybe there is some things coming up where you're having something cut or removed. That can be happening here as well. Then we're going to see on the 16th, Venus enters into Aquarius. So this is a positive transit. This is about having, you know, resources from other people that can stem from home, property, or friends. So let's say there is some like rumbles in regards to your financial life earlier in the month. Venus coming into Aquarius seems to indicate that it's possible that then you start to have support, or then you get an extension on your credit, or then the loan goes through and then you have the resources necessary to deal with the financial matter at hand. Venus will also come into conjunction with Pluto, so that does make me feel like that can be a very romantic and passionate time, because that's what Venus is about. Maybe you have some friends that are well connected that are helping, you know, make some recommendations about jobs or resources or support systems. On the 19th of the month, you're going to see that Chiron will conjunct the North Node in Aries in your 10th house of career. This is embracing the path of healing. Healing professions might arise. You might consider a path where you are doing some work where you're a healer, you're doing medical work, you're becoming a trainer, a coach, maybe you're helping other people heal. That might be a new like identity that's emerging for you in the 10th house. I do feel like with all these energies in the 8th house, you know, some of you guys might be saying, well, you know, I want to go back to school. I'm taking out a loan to do this. It might also mean that you are, you know, also having to kind of heal something revolving around resources and worth. And you're realizing that, you know, you need to change professions because you need to do something that really brings you some sense of security. What you'll find here is, you know, with planets coming into a square with Jupiter and then also Uranus, these financial kind of rumbles are really prompting you to go, you know, because you're saying, I need to make more money or I need more resources, to reach out and connect with networks or groups of people, or, you know, like programs and things that can kind of help you get job placement. Venus and Mars will conjunct on the 21st, and that'll be in your 8th house. So that's wonderful for transformations of career and home. I do feel like it's seeding something where if you need funding to launch a business, or if you're really needing somebody's support, or if you're wanting like a loan to go through, this can happen, make it possible for you to do that. Mars and Venus and Pluto in the 12th house is very sexy. So I do feel like it can be really good for, you know, having opportunities for intimacy with other people. The one thing that you want to be mindful of is that all of this is squaring Jupiter and Uranus. So if you're mixing friendship and pleasure or business and pleasure, things can get a little messy. So I would be really careful there. There can be some situationships and some hookups and some things that's kind of like, whoa, this is different. This is unusual. Or, you know, we're friends. What's going on here? Aquarius also in the 8th house can represent multiple partners, or it can represent exploring new avenues in your sexuality and also in your relationships to people. So you can also see some things that can pop up that can be a little colorful in terms of multiple relationships or multiple partners. Then you're going to see on the 24th of the month, Venus will square Jupiter. So this is a good money opportunities. This is good where some of your financial goals are kind of coming front and center, and you may actually have a breakthrough, and it comes from the support of a friend or a network. And then you're going to see on the 27th, Mars will square Jupiter as well. And this is where like maybe there's new support with making money and getting a job, but also it could mean that like somebody's saying to you, you know, are you willing to make this change? And you're like, yes, I'm willing to make the change. You know, I can do this type of work for a living. And maybe like the resources and the connections really trump any concerns that you have about making this change in your lifestyle or in your career. But embracing change is the best way I can really describe the month of February for you, because you're really having to jump in head first, and it may feel like it's so dramatic, all the things happening at one time, but it's going to be bringing you new friends, more resources, better opportunities to socialize. So I think these are some really, really good changes. Then finally on the 28th of the month, we're going to see Sun, Mercury, and Saturn come into conjunction in the sign of Pisces. So it'll be in your 9th house. Mercury deals with your communication, contracts, or neighbors or siblings. Saturn deals with relationships and connections to other people. And the Sun represents, you know, what you're investing in. So this is a day where like a relationship at a distance can emerge. This is a day where, you know, somebody can reach out to you and they live in another city, they live in another country. You might have a really important conversation with like a teacher or a mentor. There can be a huge shift in regards to your philosophy about relationships. That's very possible as well. The truth is that it's coming right around the time of like a full moon. So I feel like there's going to be important emails, phone calls, messages, and documents that kind of come up. They can involve vehicles, travel or transportation, and that'll be right before we have this particular conjunction. So kind of the 24th is when we see that full moon, and then you're going to see it come full circle. Watch for legal documents, legal matters, visa, passport things can kind of come up here as well. But I do feel like this is about remaining optimistic, because Jupiter is the ruler. It's in the 11th house, about where you're going and kind of keeping the faith. Now we'll have a new moon in Aquarius. This will be taking place on the 9th of February. So it'll be in your 8th house, where you're planting seeds about change, transformation, new resources, having access to other people's money, and really growing in terms of your intimate life. Now this will square Uranus. So it's basically saying like money stuff has to change, and it's being brought on by friends or a group or new financial goals for yourself. So that's planting that seed. And then we will see the full moon, which is going to be taking place in Virgo in your 3rd house, and that'll be at 5 degrees around the 24th. Now, just as a reminder, that full moon will oppose Saturn and Mercury in the 9th. So it almost seems as if like whatever is being completed, it's requiring you to really check in with your faith, your belief system, talk to a mentor, somebody who can help guide you and help you navigate whatever is kind of coming up during that full moon for you. And obviously, you know that you're more so affected by full moons than most people. So just be mindful that that can be a time where things can be quite active. All right. Well, it seems like I said, change is on the horizon for you. Stay positive even in the face of a lot of these unexpected changes, or, you know, if things are unknown, it's a really good time to be checking in with your faith, and also like asking yourself if you could potentially make some of these shifts, and who's going to help support you, or who's going to help align and make this possible. The card that I get is the Knight of Pentacles, and I have to chuckle because honestly, you guys, I'm not a Cancer, but I've been pulling this card for like 2 weeks straight, so I'm trying to figure out what the universe is trying to tell me, but I'll tell you what this means. So Knight of Pentacles is a card that is about, first of all, it can be an earth sign. So it can be a Virgo, a Capricorn, or a Taurus that kind of comes into your world. But this can be a message of financial opportunity, financial change. Knights are about something coming your way. So resources coming your way, funds coming your way, an opportunity to invest, an opportunity to grow. He's the slowest of the Knights, so it can be something that takes time, but I think it is some positive news in regards to your money. And so the 8th house, like I said, is other people's resources. So you're waiting on other people to kind of come through and make this possible for you. Maybe when you see like Mercury, you know, squaring Jupiter or squaring Uranus, that's when you're going to start to kind of get this financial news. And also Virgo is your 3rd house, and this can be about a conversation or a document. So watch for that around the time of the full moon. I'm hoping that this is a positive month of change for you, and I'll catch you back here next month. We've got Leo and Leo rising. Oh my goodness, Leo, look at your 7th house. Welcome to February of 2024. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're thriving. Are you ready for this new era in your relationships? Like, what is going on? So exciting, so exciting. So obviously, you know, I'm going to talk to you about the solar transits, because that's my area of focus for you guys, because you're ruled by the sun. Aside from like a sun square Uranus, which will be taking place, when is this going to be? Around February 8th, which can be an anything goes day, but I think that's about surprises, honestly, and some kind of change to your status. And also I'm looking at when you have the new moon in Aquarius, which will be in your 7th house on February 9th. Those are the ones that really kind of pique my interest the most. And then finally, there will be a Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Cazimi, and that will be on the 28th. And that's when the Sun meets with Saturn and Mercury, and there's some kind of secret, some kind of important conversation about joint resources, taxes, or money. All right, let's get into it. So let's start off with the fact that there is a massive Aquarius stellium in the skies. Everybody's going to have it in a different part of their chart. Some of the stuff I'm saying is going to sound super repetitive, but it's because we have so many planets in the same sign. So when we think of the 7th house, this is our counselors, our astrologers, our business partners, our clients. This is our boyfriends, girlfriends, not our lovers. This is committed relationships, okay? People we're married to. There is so much action here. It's wild. So since the end of January, Pluto returned to your 7th house, where it's radically transforming something about your relationships. It can mean that certain relationships are going to the next level, like discussing moving in together, getting married, getting engaged. It can also mean, because Pluto is the final line, that there is a big change happening, and Pluto rules your 4th house of home. So you're going to see a ton of planets come into your 7th house where it's about other people. So it can be these other people that I mentioned, and they're going through some big changes. They're going through some big shifts equally. If relationships have been on the fritz, if relationships have been on the rocks and something hasn't been working, this can be like a defining moment for some relationships. Really, the only thing that's going to stunt relationships that I can see this month is if other people are unwilling to grow, right? And I see this because of the conjunctions to Pluto, because of the squares to Uranus. There needs to be a leveling up, okay? So it's kind of like shit or get off the pot month for some people. All right, so February 4th, Mercury's in your 7th house where communication is turned to other people. You're talking to a lot of people. You're asking them how they feel. You're talking to your counselors, your therapists, and it can be that you're talking to people about your resources, your money, your security, or your goals for the future. Then we're going to have on the 5th, Mercury conjunct Pluto, which is like, okay, well, are we moving in together? Are we getting divorced? Are we meeting each other's families, right? It could be things like that. February 8th, you're going to see Sun in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. So the Sun is in the 7th house squaring Uranus, which means you are bringing some kind of pressure to being like, hey, you know, we need to tell the world we're engaged, or we need to make a public statement about the fact that we're no longer working together, or, you know, some shock and surprise maybe, or maybe you're telling people at work that, you know, you just went through a breakup, or you're, you know, telling some of your friends that you just got engaged. Some shocking news is likely to come out about your relationships, which can also be exciting. It doesn't have to be negative. Then you're going to see on the 12th, Mars enters into Aquarius. So then there's more action revolving around your relationships. Mars rules the 9th house of travel, but it can also be about education, your belief system, teaching, publishing, or ceremonies. So I could definitely see some Leo and Leo risings talking about getting engaged or getting married. Otherwise, the Mars-Pluto energy that's going to be taking place around the 13th is gearing up for a legal challenge or a legal battle, because Mars is about conflict. It's about cutting and severing. It rules your 9th house of legality, and Pluto can be about home or family matters. So I could see some people being like, I'm going toe-to-toe with a landlord. I'm having to evict somebody. I'm going through some drama with a family estate. Unfortunately, these can be things that can happen as well. Or having a legal separation and having to go through it, right, with another person. We will see then on the 16th, Venus enters Aquarius. So it kind of starts to smooth things over. It wants to kind of remedy whatever's been going on. For some of you guys, this can also be some tension in a friendship. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship because Aquarius is friends. But Venus comes in and it tries to smooth things over. So it's like, okay, there's been some tension in this area. You know, let's talk about it because it rules your 3rd house. Or let's sign an agreement. Or, you know, let's go on a getaway for the weekend and like, let's discuss, or let's plan, or let's move. There might be talk of movement. Very same day, we're going to see Mercury in your 7th house squaring Uranus. So something that somebody is talking about, saying, or whatever is challenging something that's going on with work. I mean, I just feel like with so much focus on other people, it's making it hard for you to focus on, you know, showing up, being present, being responsible, you know, doing work in your daily routine, because all of your energy is being brought to, whoa, what's going on with other people? Now, if you have a client-based business, this can be good because it means you're busy, and it means that you're in high demand and people need you. And people are really pressing you to be like, when are you available? How can I see you? You know, when can we talk? You know, when can we work together? So you might notice just like a real sense of eagerness of people wanting more of you, more from you. And watch for communication tension, because on the 16th, Mercury in your relationship sector will square Uranus. So there can be some tense communication, some feeling a little mentally fried. 17th, Venus conjuncts Pluto. So this is about, you know, big, powerful connections, or it can be a time when you're making a big announcement about your relationship. You know, Venus in Aquarius is about what you're doing different and unconventional. So you might shock and surprise people by being like, we're eloping, or, you know, we're having a party instead of a wedding. Things like that can come up. And then we're going to see on the 19th, Chiron will conjunct the North Node in Aries, so that'll be in the 9th house. It's wanting to heal wounds about your relationship, maybe to your culture, to a teacher, a mentor. Maybe you're healing wounds revolving around feeling like you will ever, commit to somebody, or maybe your beliefs about relationships are changing in some very big or profound way. I do feel like this can be an indication where if there is, like I said, a legal fight, you have somebody who's there to help you. And equally, you're recognizing that, pain or heartbreak or whatever can teach you something as well. You might be really drawn to learning more about healing or wellness, or looking for a teacher in this department, or maybe you want to publish or share a story about your healing journey. Then we're going to see on the 21st, Venus and Mars will conjunct. So whatever kind of intensity has been brewing, it's likely that you're going to be able to kind of smooth it over, because Mars represents home and family and Venus represents your career. So as they meet in the 7th, you're able to find a middle ground. So that's really great for passion and togetherness. And if you aren't partnered, it can be a time where you can meet somebody that can definitely change your future relationships in a very profound way. I could say that too with Pluto showing up in the 7th house. I don't always see endings of relationships or spouses dying. I mean, sometimes sure, but we can also see that somebody arrives that can be very plutonic. So it can be a Scorpio, or a Pluto conjunct something, or a Scorpio rising, or somebody who's got Pluto on one of your personal planets that can help kind of kill off one way of acting in relationships and bring in a new way. Then we're going to see on the 24th, Venus will square Jupiter. So Venus in the 7th house of relationships and relating squares Jupiter. Maybe where you're investing more in relationships, and how it's prompting you to want to go big or go home, to work harder, put more out there, be able to bring in or recoup resources. So you can have more togetherness with a partner. That can be a time when you're overdoing work and relationships, or working with people one-on-one, and there's that pressure to grow, right? So growing pains are all these squares to Jupiter. Pressure to grow how? Well, Jupiter rules your 5th house of romance, creativity, your personal business. So client demand can be pushing your business to launch or grow. Relationship challenges can be pushing you to change your status and either come together and commit or separate. Also, children can be the theme, because Jupiter is the ruler. So it's okay, we want to do the kid thing. All right, let's get married, So that can happen for you guys as well. And then we're going to have on the 27th, Mars, which is action in relationships, is squaring Jupiter. So there can be a little bit of tension between relationships and also work. There can be a sense of, people being a little agitated or hostile about, why didn't you get back to me? Or, why aren't you making time for me? Or you're always working. You might hear some of that kind of feedback from people, and where quite honestly, other people can just be kind of acting up all month. So you might see some really intense energies where people are just really impatient and they're not willing to kind of cut you slack. Then we're going to see on February 28th, the sun will come into conjunction with Mercury in Pisces. So that will be taking place for you in your 8th house. So the sun, Mercury, and Saturn will be in the 8th house. And the 8th house is about joining together, merging, joint resources, taxes, death, rejuvenating something. So Saturn is the traditional ruler of relationships. It also is connected to health and work. Mercury deals with money, and it also deals with goals. And then we're going to have the sun, which is you. So I really feel actually there's something going on where maybe you're merging your resources with another person. Maybe you're opening up a joint bank account. Maybe you're talking about an incentive to start saving money for something, especially if you're getting married, or if you guys are talking about wanting to start a business or make an investment, buying a house, that kind of stuff. I could also see this be a day where, because it's at a 9, you're signing legal documents that merge you together. If you do settle into a relationship and you decide to buy a house or get married, there will be joint credit. So that could be the eighth house. What else? This can be a day where there's tax or insurance matters that are kind of being discussed, or some kind of decision that you're making about joint resources. Now, this will come just a few days after a full moon. So let me show you the moon so this makes more sense. You'll have a new moon in Aquarius in your relationship zone, and that will be on the 9th of February. So you're planting new seeds for relationships. So if you're single, you're planting those seeds to meet people. I will say that this particular new moon will square Uranus. So it's still reiterating like, hey, we need to expand. We need to talk to more people. We need to make more friends. We need to focus more on relationships. And that's helping prompt change the status out in the world. So if relationships are on a good path, then it's like, okay, well, let's keep it going. Let's talk about the future. It's trying to push you into that over the next 6 months. Otherwise, the square to Uranus is being like, yeah, this ain't working. We're actually, going our separate ways. So that can happen here too. And then that new moon will be at 20 degrees. Then the 24th of February will be a full moon in the sign of Virgo. So you'll have a full moon in your second house, which is big conversations developing about money, your possessions, a big payment, joint resources, something that you possess. And that will boast a Mercury in its fall in the 8th house conjunct Saturn. Basically, I think that this is going to be about somebody saying to you, I want more. I want more, or I'm not willing to give something up. You give it to me. So the second house is your possessions. 8th house is money owed. So God forbid there is a separation. Then the conversation is going to be, okay, how do we divide assets? What's mine and what's yours? And that might be part of what's going on at the end of the month. Equally, it can represent where money is coming to you, but it's through your partner, or it's through an inheritance or an insurance check or a refund. Some of you guys might start getting your tax refunds with this. That's possible as well. But there's definitely a talk about what's mine and what's somebody else's. So be mindful that that's going to be coming up this month. Let's take a look at what your card is here, Leo. I get the devil. Okay, so I think honestly, this is more about Saturn. Okay, and Saturn is the traditional ruler, by the way, of Aquarius. So it's not just about Uranus, it's Saturn. So much of the strife maybe that can be going on with relationships is whether or not there's some financial stress. Saturn in the 8th house can mean that a partner's feeling like they can't afford things, or, they don't have enough money, or, they're trying to be supportive, but it's challenging. And there may be this sense of them feeling like less than, or trying to keep up with what you're doing because you're crushing it with Jupiter and Uranus in your 10th house. So they may be feeling like they need more independence. They might be feeling like they need to have their own thing, or that they're doing more. And so I could see that coming up. But Saturn represents bad habits, limitation, where you feel stuck, what's not working. And I think that it's just going to show you basically with such a strong Saturn signature, with all these planets in a Saturn sign, where there's blocks and limitations, and where there's hangups and challenges in relationships that you're trying to kind of break through, that you're trying to let go of. And whether that's with friends, partners, clients, work, business, relationships, it doesn't matter. Realize that other people are going to be kind of going through their stuff this particular month, and you're going to have to look at some people and be like, okay, when you're ready to be a grown-up, let me know, because I'm not going to do this with you. So you're letting go of some of these bad habits in relationships is what I think is happening, and you're learning that in order to do that, you have to also be vulnerable. Saturn in your 8th house is about being vulnerable, and learning to be more transparent about your needs. Good luck. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. Welcome to February of 2024. I hope it's a good one. I hope you're doing well. As you may or may not have heard, I said that there's going to be several Mercury ingresses this month. So when we start February, we're actually going to see Mercury leaving Capricorn, and it's going to go into Aquarius. So it's putting a focus on health, habits, workspace, routine. Then later in the month, we're going to see Mercury go into Pisces, where there's going to be much more of you being active in relationships and partnerships and talking to clients and having those one-on-one relationships and asking people what they think, what they want. And it can be a strong indication also of relationship energy that's getting activated. This month, we're also going to see a full moon in your sign, my Virgos. So if you're a Virgo rising, sun, moon rising, any personal planet, really around 4, 5, 6 degrees of Virgo, you're going to have this full moon. I should say, and I will do a full moon video on this at a later date, but this is at 5 degrees. So this is on your ascendant at 5 degrees, which is about creativity, self-expression, self-love, inner child, romance, playing dress up, but it can also be about pregnancy. Okay, so be mindful. Full moon in the 5th house can be pregnancy. In the 1st house can be pregnancy. And it can also be just post this Mercury retrograde. So I wonder if that's something else that's kind of brewing. All right, so let's start at the beginning of the month. We'll go to the end of the transits. So February 4th, Mercury enters into Aquarius. And for all the signs, I've told everybody, there is just insane stellium of Aquarius planets in the sky. Aquarius is unconventional, futuristic, different. It also represents our, contribution to the collective. So you're going to have all these planets in Aquarius this month in your 6th house, which is like your office space. It's also about going to the gym, getting things done on your to-do list, taking care of plants and animals. But I also think this can be about service to friends, service to the collective, and helping other people in an unconventional way. So with Mercury in the 6th house, your mind is on, what do I need to get done? How's my health? How's my habits? How's my routines? And on the 5th, Mercury will come into conjunction with Pluto. So this does mean that you might have to be mindful of your mindset. You have to be aware of how you're communicating and what you're saying, what you're thinking, letting go of negative patterning and thought patterning. There can be also some intense communications with people in the workspace, and there can be some changes going on with gadgets and software. Now, on the 5th of the month, you're going to see the sun in this house square Uranus. And I personally feel like this is either changing your work schedule, making more room for training or, re-education or for traveling. There's going to potentially be some changes here that's happening with your work schedule because you're either learning something or you're going somewhere. But when the sun squares Uranus, it's something that we don't see coming. It comes out of the blue. Then we're going to see on the 12th, Mars will enter into Aquarius. So Mars moves into this house. Mars represents your communication. It also represents transformation. I could see a lot of Virgo and Virgo risings working in a new office, and it's totally new to them. They have to learn a new system. They have to learn almost what seems like a new language. I could see some of you guys fully adopting working remotely. I could see some of you guys that are really focusing on health and habits and doing some kind of healing treatments or, cutting out some bad habits. That can happen here as well. Health is very important this month. I cannot understate that enough, that it seems to be really, really significant, especially with the sun still in the 6th house at the beginning of the month. We will then see when Mars moves in, it'll come into conjunction with Pluto. I have a feeling some of you guys are also maybe having to work on your vehicles. You're needing to get vehicles serviced or computers or kind of gadgets serviced. There can be some electrical things going on with that stuff. But watch for conflicts with people in the workspace. Watch for issues that you can be having with friends as well. That can kind of come up there. Misunderstandings and miscommunications. Then you're going to see on the 16th, Venus enters into this house. I think the good thing is Virgo, is traditionally associated with the 6th house. So, to see all these planets come into the 6th house, you're going to love the fact that you're oh, I have new systems, or I have new technology, or I have a new way of organizing my schedule, and I'm using technology to track my, my daily steps, or, to manage my habits. That could all be happening. Or maybe you're working with a new group of people and it happens to be friends, right? We're going to see Venus entering there. So love can be found in the workplace. This is also where love is acts of service. And that very same day, Mercury in Aquarius will square Uranus. So maybe you get news that you're like, yeah, I need to suddenly, travel, or I need to do some training, or I need to make some adjustments to my work schedule and adapt because I'm, going back to school. I've seen that for a lot of Virgo risings. Then we're going to have on the 17th, Venus will conjunct Pluto. So that's about passion and fixation. This can be a time where there's some big changes going on. I do feel like some of you guys might experience either budget cuts or staff cuts at work because Mars and Pluto are in your 6th house. And planets are squaring Jupiter. Okay, so I think a lot of you guys are having to kind of stay on the cutting edge of your field, and you're having to learn and keep up with the latest trends and technology to maintain doing the kind of work that you're doing. If this is not work related, it's like there's something going on where you're having to take care of a pet and a pet's going through a lot of changes, or there's something going on where you're having to address a health issue, but it's front and center pretty much all month long. February 19th, Chiron conjunct the North Node in Aries. So this is healing something about the sensual side of your life, your private life, something about your hidden self, dealing with letting go, grief, or loss. This will be ruled by Mars, and Mars is going to be in the 6th. So I could see some of you guys having something cut, having something removed, doing some kind of surgical procedures maybe, or lasers, or burning or removing something off. That can kind of come up. And healing issues revolving around vulnerability and intimacy. Sexual healing can come up with North Node and Chiron in the 8th house. Then we're going to see on the 21st, Venus and Mars will conjunct. So it almost seems like whatever you've been working through, now you're able to kind of like heal it. And a total shift maybe also in regards to what you believe healthy habits are. But once again, love and romance can be found in the workplace. On the 24th, you're going to see Venus in Aquarius square Jupiter. So this can be a time where, I think career matters are taking precedent, or work or sacrifice is kind of the focus. And it's pressing on you to get the work done so you can travel at a later date, or so you can make plans to go somewhere or see somebody at a later date. You may feel like the whole month of February is like, I got to schedule my year out. I got to get things, in order. I need to know when I'm working, where I'm going, what the plans are. So you feel as if like everything can go according to plan. So a lot of it can just also be scheduling. Then you're going to see on, let's see, there we go. Then on the 24th, Venus will square Jupiter. So that's really prompting you to say, hey, I got to take better care of my health, or I got to get this work done so I can do these grand adventures that might be coming later in the year, or be adapting to a new school schedule. I think a lot of you guys are going to be learning about health and wellness with Jupiter and Uranus in your 9th house. So some of you guys might be saying, I want to become a trainer. I want to become a healer. I want to be working in a gym. I want to be, healing people. I want to be a nurse. So you guys are having to learn these skills this year because a lot of it's about health and wellness or fitness. February 27th, Mars square Jupiter. Okay, so Mars square Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter rules relationships and home. So as planets are coming into a square with Jupiter, the changes in your health, work, habits, or routine is creating changes in your home life and also your relationship life. Then on the 28th, we're going to see a very important conjunction where Sun, Mercury, and Saturn will all align in Pisces. So now these planets are moving into your 7th house, where it's focused on relationships with other people. If you're committed, it's your partner. If you're single, it's probably about meeting people. The truth is this can be like a definitive turning point for relationships, because Saturn's direct, you are Mercury, okay? Saturn is about true love and commitment, and we're going to see the Sun come into conjunction with Mercury and Cazimi. So I feel as if this is about an important conversation you're going to have with a partner about where you stand, about what you want in a relationship. If you're seeking commitment, if you want to talk to them about the future, if you're ready to agree to move in together, to get married, to change your status, to have children, all of these things can be kind of coming up. I will say that I will speculate, because you have Venus in your 6th house prior to this and like a whole bunch of planets in the 6th house, that this can represent that if a relationship hasn't been working, something's brewing. And, this is 12th house to your 7th. So something is kind of coming to an end.
So some of you guys have seen throughout the Mercury retrograde, okay, I was seeing somebody, but it kind of fizzled out, or they didn't call me back, or I don't think we were a match, or we've been dating and like we're not on the same page, and we have to sit down and like have a serious conversation about what we want. Likely that's going to happen right around the time of the conjunction on the 28th. Now, it can be that a partner is getting ready to reveal some kind of information to you, right? About where they've been, what they've been thinking about, what they've been feeling. So it really depends on your own personal astrology. But I will say this, February 9th, you'll have a new moon in Aquarius. And this is about if you're looking for a new job or if you want to set new intentions for habits, this is when you'll do it. It will square Uranus, which means it's going to be about, really pressing on with, okay, I'm willing to change my work or my lifestyle, or I'm willing to change my philosophy, or I'm willing to travel more. And it does make me feel as if you're really trying to get your own act together. That's what the 6th house is, before you meet other people. So if you don't feel ready for a relationship, if you're in healing mode, if you're still recovering, if you feel like you're unsure about what you want, this can kind of indicate that you're really prioritizing these things, and then you might break something off. I could also see the full moon in Virgo, which will be in your 1st house, in opposition to Mercury, which will be conjunct Saturn, as, okay, I'm aware of what I need, what I want. I know what I need to be working on. I know what's going to make me happy. I know what's going to make me complete. But the ruler will be conjunct Saturn in the 7th house. So it means that, you're completing a big lesson or a big phase between you and another person. It may mean that you're giving somebody a definitive answer one way or the other as to how this relationship is going to progress. And then just days later on the 28th, like I said, you'll see the sun Mercury. So if you get a little moody with that full moon on the 24th, around the 28th, you might have a partner tell you, you know what, I'm good. We're done here. This isn't working. Or the opposition can act like it's pulling somebody in, right? So it can be bringing in some kind of, soulmate. Sun Mercury can be soulmate. And also Saturn being there is somebody who can be really serious about what they're wanting in their future, right? Some big stuff happening, in April, my Virgos, Jupiter and Uranus will meet in the 9th house. So some of you guys who have been married will meet your 2nd spouse. Some of you guys who are hoping to, meet somebody, you will, or maybe you'll get married, or you could elope, or you'll be traveling and you meet someone. So, Saturn, and you'll see this with the eclipses, when we have the eclipses in Libra and in Aries, the ruler will be conjunct Saturn with both of those charts. So there's a lot of Saturn stuff that's going to keep playing out. That's trying to kind of pull you into relationships, soulmate. What did I say? I almost feel as if like there's a situation that you can't run from. Right? And I'm not saying you should be with somebody or not be with somebody, but there's a situation you can't run from, and it's going to keep coming up over and over. And I really think what the question is going to be with the Sun, Mercury, Saturn conjunction is, do you want relationship? Do you want love? Are you willing to be healing yourself? Somebody may reconnect with you. Somebody may come back around, or there may be a connection with somebody who feels very familiar, that feels like it's kind of like destined. I'm curious also to see like in March, when Venus gets into Pisces and we start to see Venus conjunct Saturn and Neptune, what that means, how relationships are really unfolding. And then obviously the fall of this year, you'll have an eclipse in September in your 7th house as well. So don't run from it. There can be people who can come in that can really encourage the growth, and they can be really patient with you. But I think the stellium in the 6th house says you kind of have to get your stuff in order first. Okay, so be mindful of that this year. Good luck. I'll see you next month, and enjoy that full moon in your sign. What's up, Libra and Libra rising? Welcome to February 2024. This is going to be your astrology transits for the month ahead. We're going to talk a little bit about Venus first before we get going, because Venus is your planetary ruler and she is making moves in the skies this month. She'll be leaving Capricorn and moving into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is a fellow sister air sign, so you'll be experiencing trines, which is harmonious energy flow from your ascendant, sun or moon, to your 5th house. So all of the signs are experiencing a stellium of all these Aquarius placements one way or another. and you're getting it in a particularly sweet spot. So the 5th house deals with creativity, self-expression, playtime, romance, children, and overall anything that brings you joy. So it's time to take having fun and playing more seriously, Libra. For those of you guys who are single Libra and Libra risings, this can be a particularly passionate time. For those of you guys who are partnered, there can be much more of a focus on, creating together, having fun, and also personal hobbies that you can be participating in with your partners. So when Venus comes into Aquarius, she's going to very quickly be met with a conjunction to Pluto. So the other way that this can play out is that you're heavily investing in playtime, you're heavily investing in your happiness. Maybe you are deciding to take up a new hobby, you're having to kind of spend a little bit of time and money, making that kind of come full circle. So watch for intense changes or transformations of matters of the heart that can happen here as well. The 5th house can also be the inner artist, the inner child, and this can also be a real focus on children. So if you're somebody who has kids, some big changes can be happening for your children, or if you're anticipating having a kid, that can be happening as well. For my Libras and Libra risings, especially, thinking about this next month as we're coming into eclipse season, the end of March of 2024, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in Libra. So that'll be taking place on your ascendant at a 5. So I could definitely see Libra and Libra risings who are trying to conceive in the next month, making that possible. Equally, this can be a time where there's just a lot of creative energies and a huge focus on self-expression. The birth energy of the 5th house can be used a variation of different ways. It can be relationships, personal businesses, projects. The 5th house is also gambling and taking risks. So you might be feeling like going to casinos or trying your hand at various games of chance. All right, so the first planet that we're really going to be focusing on that's entering into Aquarius this month, okay, we've already seen Pluto and the Sun enter last month, is Mercury. So Mercury deals with your subconscious, dreams, intuition, also anything about spirituality, the higher mind, or occult. So you might find that there's just more of a focus on doing research on these topics, studying these topics. And when Mercury comes into Aquarius, it's quickly going to come into conjunction with Pluto. This will be between February 4th and the 5th. I feel as if you may feel like a calling to start getting involved in like a new project, or you might feel like a dream is inspiring you to focus more on some new way of like expressing yourself. It is possible there can be love and romance abroad or people at a distance, so watch for that as well. And then on the 8th of the month, we're going to see the Sun in Aquarius in your 5th house square Uranus. For a lot of you guys, this is about big risk and big reward. I could definitely see, especially those of you guys who are interested in stocks and trading and things like that this month, with the Sun going into your 5th house saying, hey, I'm willing to take a risk, or I'm willing to have a little bit more fun. Even if it means that you're spending some extra cash, or that, you may potentially lose something, you're willing to kind of take that chance. As a fellow Libra rising myself, I can tell you guys, I will be playing the lottery all month long. With all these planets in the 5th house square Jupiter and Uranus, you might surprise yourself that you hit something this month. Then you're going to see on the 12th of the month, Mars will enter into Aquarius. So Mars will join the bunch. Mars is about relationships and also investments. So Mars and Venus are going to be moving through your 5th house of romance. I kind of feel like this is about doing something unconventional for like date night. If you are in a relationship, this can mean that you are, opting to go and involve yourself in things that are more athletic or sports related, or some kind of competitiveness that can be going on. Aquarius does deal with, information, or it deals with like the future, or collective groups. And the 5th house can also be like going to shows, or going to bars, or going to places where there's groups of people who are kind of commingling. But Mars in the 5th house makes you very passionate. So this transit brings opportunities to kind of push the envelope a little bit when it comes to dating. So you might be feeling Like you need a little bit more love and affection, or you're more willing to kind of go out there and try to meet people with this transit. Taking up new hobbies with this that can be, like I said, much more athletic can be a good idea here as well. Then we're going to see on the 13th, just a day later, Mars and Pluto will come into conjunction. So essentially this means that there is some major change or transformation regarding what you love, who you love. This can be a day where something kind of catches you off guard and you meet someone that just totally knocks your socks off. Lots of room for passion and true love as well. This can also be with a younger person because the 5th house is younger energies. But the downside of Pluto is Pluto can sometimes bring on some kind of crisis. So there can be some feeling of needing to heal the inner child or moving through some heartaches, and possibly having some difficult experiences with relationships for sure. The 5th house has this energy also of the ego, so it can sometimes be about the ego getting in the way of romantic relationships. Then you're going to see on the 16th, your ruler's on the move. Then Venus enters into the 5th house. So she's kind of coming and smoothing over whatever the tension has been earlier in the month. This might mean that you're focusing more on art, creativity, self-expression. Maybe you're focusing more on, like I said, a new hobby. And Venus is going to come into close proximity with both Pluto and Mars. So you'll see that kind of build over the next couple of days from the 16th into the 17th. The same day that Venus enters Aquarius, we're going to see Mercury in Aquarius square Uranus. So to me, it seems like you have a hunch or you have a feeling that something is getting ready to change or something's getting ready to emerge. Once again, I've personally felt this. I've had this last week and the transits haven't even started yet, where I was like, I have a good idea about like making this investment. Like, let's see what happens. And like, it does so far so good. It seems like it's playing out, but I anticipate in mid-month that there's going to be some things where I'm going to have a feeling like when to get out, right? So whether for you, it's an investment, if you feel like you're pushing your luck, when it comes to taking risks or gambling, or if you feel like you're pushing your luck in a romantic situation, you may feel like this is the time when you're like, I don't know if I should be pushing this anymore. If you have kids, be mindful that they can be really sensitive with these transits as well. There can be a sense of like wanting to encourage them, but you may also feel that they're just very reactionary when it comes to embracing change. Now on the 17th, this is when Pluto and Venus come into conjunction, and this is like where there's big opportunities for opening the heart, healing the heart, realizing your worth, loving yourself. Self-love is the 5th house. And it's kind of ironic because Aquarius represents other people. So you may find this month, Aquarius, Libra, that you're getting a lot of support from other people. And a lot of people are kind of like building you up, kind of gassing you up a little bit. And equally, these energies are trining your ascendant. So it's helping you come into better balance with yourself. These energies are sextiling your 7th house. So it's also prompting lots of exciting new opportunities when it comes to relationships. Usually the 5th house is where we connect with somebody, we flirt, we, see them across the room, we kind of hang out a little bit. Maybe we go on a date, but the 7th house is more about commitment. So if what you're looking for is a committed relationship, what you're going to find is that it's going to stem from all of the willingness to go and participate in the fun things that you want to be doing throughout this next month. So as we're getting into, Aries season in April, there is more kind of coming together in a relationship in a much more serious way. So get out there, socialize, meet people, have fun, be constantly asking yourself, like, do I love this with whatever you're doing? It's also a very powerful time for those of you guys who are self-employed. If you're wanting to really focus on your talents and putting your talents out into the world and showing people what you've got. Now, on the 19th of the month, we're going to see Chiron in the North Node come into conjunction in the sign of Aries in your 7th house of relationships, where you're being asked to heal relationships to others. So it can be with a romantic partner. It can be about, healing so that way you can get back into the dating game. It can also represent healing the relationship with yourself. Teachers, counselors, other people can come in, coaches who can help heal you as well. But collectively, we're all kind of addressing our personal wounds. And it's very possible that there's some stuff going on that isn't even like your stuff. Like maybe you're healing the relationship with your inner child. That's possible because, well, Mars is in Aquarius at the time of the particular conjunction. But I could also see like this being like romantic partners or clients that are going through healing crisis, or patients if you're in the medical field who are just dealing with a lot of wounding, who need a lot of support. My advice is to show up, do the work in relationships, see that you can have a lot of support from focusing more on what you love and what brings you joy, so you can move through some of these changes a little bit more smoothly. Then you're going to see on the 21st of the month, Mars and Venus are going to conjunct in the sign of Aquarius. So I love this for you and for Aries. I really think that when Mars and Venus come into conjunction, we see the opportunity for harmonious interactions. And so sometimes, because you're Venus and others are Mars, this can be indicating that there is somebody that you're about to meet. So if you're single, you'll meet them in a fifth house place, like a bar, like a casino, like a club, like a party. Maybe you meet them online. That could be Aquarius. And it can be somebody who's younger, but it definitely is an indication that somebody is coming in. And you'll see Mars and Venus move side by side for several days, from like the 21st to like the 23rd or the 24th. So those are big amplification of love and relationship days. It's just very, very, very passionate as well. So I encourage you to get out there. Those of you guys who are partnered, this is a time where you want to be having fun, being creative, doing something unconventional with your dates. And it might be about playing games. It might be about including other friends or younger people, or going places where you can have some fun. I think of like just, the fifth house in Aquarius is go somewhere where there's going to be people, but you can do your own thing. Like I'm a fifth house Aquarius. I love to go to like pinball bars and like arcades and stuff like that, where there's like a lot of people around, but you can kind of do your own thing, right? Anyway, mix it up a little bit, have a good time, and do consider being around younger people or including your children if you have kids. All right, so then we're going to have on the 24th, Venus in Aquarius in your fifth house is going to square Jupiter. So this might be one of the days where you do have a big breakthrough, maybe an investment that you've made, or maybe taking a risk with playing the lottery, or taking a risk when it comes to a romantic relationship makes you like win big. So make note of that particular square. Yes, we can overindulge in these situations, and well, the fifth house likes to party, as does Aquarius. So over drinking, over playing, over partying can definitely have some effects. It can also have you wishing you did not spend so much on your bar tab. So be mindful of that there can be kind of like throwing all caution to the wind, but you can definitely overdo it. Then we're going to see on the 27th of the month, Mars in Aquarius will square Jupiter in Taurus. So Mars is in the fifth house, which is a very kind of passionate, sexy transit. And then it's going to square Jupiter. So what can I say, Libra and Libra rising? I mean, there's a lot of sexy energy in the skies next month. I do feel like a lot of it is about how you're growing in your intimacy with another person. I think it's going to be about what you're creating. So you're creating for the sake of growth and growing closer to another person, or bringing in more resources. Mars square Jupiter makes me feel like there can be some tension you can have with some relationships or some partners. But for me, it seems more sexual more than anything else. And a little bit of like a competitive edge that can definitely be something that creates chemistry. Then we have on the 28th of the month, the sun will come into conjunction with Mercury and Saturn in Pisces. So the sun, which rules your goals, and Mercury, which is about subconscious, and also travel, will conjunct Saturn. So the truth is that this is when you're getting really serious, okay, on the 28th, about your health goals, about your commitments to your schedule, about your commitments to your daily routine, how you're working, where you're working. You want to watch your health, because I think the Sun Saturn in itself could mean like, okay, party's over, like had a little bit too much fun, like no more of that. And it can be a time when you're like, yeah, I'm not drinking, or I'm going to have more sobriety, or, you know, I'm dedicating myself to a cause. I'm donating some of my time or my resources to this. This can be a time also when you're wanting to get your home in order or your office space in order. And what's interesting is that you're going to see a cazimi take place. So Mercury will actually cazimi with the sun. So it means that there is some kind of news that's coming in, and it can be about traveling, a trip, or something about your health. Intuitively, you might be navigating health and habits. That's kind of my interpretation. But watch for, you know, meeting timelines and having to stay focused at work. Now, you're going to see on the 9th of February, a new moon in Aquarius in your 5th house, where you're focusing all on creativity, self-expression, and some kind of growth in terms of your overall happiness and creativity. This particular new moon will square Uranus in the 8th house. So it can indicate that if you're creative, if you're making something, if you're investing your time or your energy, if you're really passionate about someone or something, something can come of it. There can be growth, right? A passion project can lead to a new business. A romantic, you know, connection can lead to like a deep dive into learning how to, you know, be together and be more vulnerable. A lot of partying and, you know, taking chances can definitely have you wind up wishing that you spent less money. But Uranus is the ruler of your 5th house. So a lot of Libra risings, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the month that you would get pregnant. So just be careful with all that partying. You'll see what I'm talking about when you see the eclipses next month. And then you'll also have a full moon in Virgo, which is going to be taking place in your 12th house. This will be at 5 degrees in your 12th house, and it'll be in opposition to Saturn and Mercury. Okay, so it's just before we have that cazimi where I can feel like you're like, okay, I need to kind of slow it down or, you know, curb some of my habits. You know, a full moon in the 12th house has you feeling quiet, reflective. You're closing something out. You need more rest and recuperation. Really, this is about sticking to a habit or a routine. So if you've fallen out of routine, this full moon is going to show you where you want to get back into it. And that's the month at a glance. My goodness, Libra, enjoy all these planets in the 5th house because it looks like awesome for creativity. It looks awesome for, I'm laughing at the card, having fun. It also looks like there's a whole lot of temptation. There's the Devil card. It made another appearance. Long story short, watch your habits this month. This is Saturn, okay? And Saturn's in the 6th house. Make sure that, you're having fun, you're making time for fun, but that you're meeting your deadlines, you're getting your work done, that you're staying on task, that you are also focusing on your health and your habits. And I really think that for you, all of these planets in the 5th house are saying that you're really prioritizing what brings you happiness. You have to be asking yourself that all month. And if you're feeling the limits of Saturn, like time restrictions and time constraints or like health-related matters, find ways to be able to find a better balance, right? So you're having time for a little bit of everything. Good luck. This is going to be the February transits for 2024 for Scorpio and Scorpio rising. What's going on, Scorpio? I hope you're doing well. Welcome back. Wow, we have some very big energies going on, Scorpio, so buckle up. Obviously, we know that you are ruled both by Mars as well as Pluto. So we look at both of those. Mars is your traditional ruler. Pluto is your modern day ruler. We have this massive Aquarius stellium that's taking place in your 4th house. So for all of the signs, they're experiencing it somewhere, but it's going to be in different areas of the chart. So for you, the huge topic this month is home, family, the past, your home base, right? And everything that's going on with kind of like your private life. This is also your emotions. This is also the past, your family lineage, history, things in regards to where you come from. Now, it's really important because we're going to see a whole ton of aspects involving Mars as well as Pluto. So you're being heavily aspected this month, okay? So whether it's the Mars-Venus conjunction or it's planets conjunct Pluto, Pluto is the archetype of change and transformation, endings and beginnings. So something that you're going to notice is that several planets are going to come into conjunction with Pluto. I want you to think back to what was happening around the 20th and the 21st of January. This is when Pluto first ingressed into Aquarius and you were seeing the first glimmers of major transformations in your home space. Unfortunately, Pluto also is connected to crisis. So it can mean that there was some dramatic happening in your home or in your family. Maybe it means that there's this awareness that your home's going to change, or a parent's going through like a huge shift in their life, or you're recognizing that it's time to move. These things could have been coming up. Now, planets will touch on Pluto, so this is where you're actually receiving support. So you'll see that both from Mars as well as Venus, and I think it's a power-up period, and it's a time to really be talking with either your family, your partners, your roommates, your friends about what the future of your home or your living situation looks like, and it looks like you're doing something unconventional, right? Okay. So we start first with February 4th, and on the 4th, this is when Mercury enters into Aquarius. Mercury deals with debts, loans, inheritances, joint resources, as well as goals, is moving into your 4th house. So maybe you're trying to find a way to transform your home. Maybe you're receiving some kind of support or some kind of money from your family. Maybe this is where you're investing money into your home and you're wanting to make changes. And the very next day, Mercury is going to conjunct Pluto. So I feel like you're going to have some conversation in the 4th or the 5th with a relative about some resources that may be coming your way, or maybe you're having to sign a document pertaining to a loan, or signing a lease or a mortgage, or maybe you're talking to your family about an estate matter. Then on the 8th, you're going to see the Sun in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. So the Sun's in your 4th house, highlighting your home and family, and it squares Uranus. So something about all of the action with the family is creating a lot of changes in regards to your relationships. Scorpio, I want you to think about 2020 to 2022, right? Saturn went through this part of your chart. A bunch of planets were squaring Uranus, and you saw where, changes going on with home and family was kind of creating a lot of shifts with your relationships. Now, some of you guys have picked up and moved places. Other people have had some friction between relationships with their relatives and their partners. This is a day where I would watch, because there can be like a male family member, or there can be some kind of something brewing at home that can kind of trigger a partner and make a partner feel uneasy, or there can be some power struggles in regards to what's happening at home. That'll be on the 8th. On the 12th, your co-ruler enters into Aquarius. So then Mars goes into the 4th house. So Pluto and Mars are in the 4th house, which means that you better damn well have a list of things that you want to be working on or doing at home. If you work from home, awesome, you're gonna get a lot of work done. If you don't, and you share space with somebody, I would make a to-do list, get as much stuff physically on a list as possible, because when Mars is in the 4th house, we can have quarrels, we can have conflicts with family members or people we live with. So my advice is be working towards something you wanna change at home. Some people might be making foundational issues, or might be seeing foundational issues in their home. Other people are going to be saying, we're demoing something, we're renovating something. Mars and Pluto can be like, knocking things down and redoing it. Anyway, as Mars comes into your 4th house, maybe you're moving, right? It might mean that you're traveling back home. You're going to go and see family. You're going to go and be with them. But shortly after that, on the 13th, Mars will conjunct Pluto. So it might be that you're having to go home because there's a huge crisis or there's a transformation with your family. I know that's not what you want to hear, but that is possible. The other thing that I could see is that, you're going and looking for a new home, and you're wanting to uproot yourself, and you're open to looking at a new place. And so this is prompting you to want to go and find that space. On the 16th, Venus enters Aquarius, which is so helpful, because then you have support of Venus, which is about relationships, and it can also be about healing. And when Venus is in your 4th house, you can bring an interior decorator. You can have a woman from your family come to stay and visit with you. You can have a spouse or a partner who's helping you more at home. You might have a romantic partner who's coming and visiting you and playing house with you. It's a wonderful time for design and totally transforming something about your space. This can also be a time where there's huge awakenings going on with relationships and matters of the family, the home, and your heart. The very same day, Mercury in your 4th house of Aquarius will square Uranus. So it's likely that there's going to be some unexpected kind of conversations and discussions about, what the future holds and what home is going to look like and what changes are, being had at home. And you can embrace these changes and be excited about it. But likely what you may find is that the conversations might bring up a little bit of stress or tension for a partner or a relationship with a relative. On the 17th of the month, Venus will come into conjunction with Pluto. So believe it or not, like Venus-Pluto contacts, especially if Pluto's your chart ruler, can indicate that there's some gift that's being given to you or there's some wealth. It can also represent, having a firmer foundation and a total change in your home. This change can be brought on by a relationship or by a woman. It can also indicate that there is ends of matters because Venus rules your 7th house and it's in the 4th. So if you've been living with a female roommate, if you've been living with a female relative, if you have been on the fritz with a partner, it can indicate that, okay, that's coming to an end. It's time to make a move. So you could be moving somewhere else. You could be looking for a new space. You could be moving in with another person. But this can be that it's a good situation. Whatever change is happening is actually for the better. So you've got now Venus, Pluto, and Mars all in the same sign. So this is why I said, like, Pluto is really knocking at our door in February saying like, hey, change is on the way. We got to do it. We got to do it now. So there's probably some pretty dramatic shifts going on in your inner world, which is really prompting you to move forward with the squares in regards to relationships. So if you're single, you're feeling like, hey, maybe I got to move to meet somebody. Maybe I'm looking in other areas. That can be happening as well. So then you're going to see on the 19th of the month, Chiron will come into conjunction with the North Node. This is about healing health matters, like literal health issues. It's at a 14, so it can represent, taking care of women, taking care of female family members, house chores, but it can also mean you're working out at home. It can mean that you're really focusing on, trying to take better care of yourself, getting odds and ends done because the 6th house can be to-do lists or taking care of pets. That can be the case as well. To be honest with you, because Venus is a little stressed out, I'm kind of wondering, like those of you guys who have like a female partner or a family member, if they're having some health issues, you're kind of tending to them and helping take care of them. The other way of looking at this is that you're making it an effort to kind of stay more organized and to be getting your home in working order. So that could be happening as well. That North Node Chiron conjunction is really encouraging you to focus on having healthier habits and routines. And that means having a better work-life balance. And that's going to start, I think, with your home base being organized, if you want my 2 cents. Then we're going to see on the 21st of the month, Venus will conjunct Mars in Aquarius. So I like this. I like this a lot, especially because Venus and Mars love each other. So there is some sense of like coming together and being like, okay, whatever tornado has been thrown up in regards to relationships or home or living situation, it's like we're going to work together. And you'll see several days where Mars and Venus are going to move side by side. So I do feel like you have the support of a counselor, a partner, a friend, a female family member, like somebody's helping you move through some of these changes. So it's very positive. And maybe a partner's helping you with moving or movement, or maybe you're moving in together, you're buying a house, like that could be happening too. Then we're going to see on the 24th of the month, Venus will square Jupiter. So Venus in your 4th house, squaring Jupiter. So a woman kind of coming into your life or encouraging you to grow in your relationships, to seek support from others, or, kind of overdoing it when it comes to home time. There could be too much home time where you're feeling kind of like squirrely and like you kind of need some space away from your family or your partner. But this can be a day where it can feel like over the top, good things in regards to home and relationships. Just watch spending. That's one thing I would watch for. You don't want to be overdoing that stuff when it comes to home design and decor. Lots of activity going on the home base. So it can even be that you're socializing a lot, you're hosting a lot of people, you're spending a lot of money getting your house in order because you're anticipating you're going to have some kind of like company. That's the other way of looking at it. Then we're going to see on the 27th, you will have Mars square Jupiter. So then Mars is in the 4th house still, squaring Jupiter. So then there's like okay, this is what you want. I'm going to put it together. I only laugh because my husband's a Scorpio rising. So I can definitely see this being like, oh, you want these things? Okay. And I pick the things out as Venus, and then he has to put it together or kind of arrange it around the house. That could happen. So definitely team effort all the way through. I feel like you want to be mindful that when Mars squares Jupiter, there can be a sense of you overdoing it, and you can feel like somebody's trying to give you advice about how to navigate a home or family situation, and you're not having any of it. But Mars will be in a superior position, so that does mean that it's kind of like things are going to be done your way, or you're going to kind of see to it that way. And then finally on the 28th, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury and Saturn in Pisces. So by then, Sun, Saturn, Mercury are all in your 5th house of creativity, children, happiness, dating. And this is kind of interesting because it's a cazimi. So that means that Mercury is retrograding, and it's going to come, Mercury's not retrograding. You're going to see that Mercury is conjuncting the Sun, and it'll be in like a superior position. So that day, it's about important conversations and matters of the heart, because the 5th house is that. If you're single, it can be a time where you meet somebody very prominent. You could meet them in a social setting, or you could meet them in a bar or a club or some kind of entertainment place. I think of like Pisces being like a theater or like a spa. It could be like a movie, theater, or somewhere where there's like a live performance. But you might meet somebody. And it might be, through socializing, or maybe a friendship potentially. You look at them in a different light, and it could be something that's more. But when Sun, Saturn, and Mercury are conjunct, there is some huge decision that's being made with, matters of love and romance. It can also be a time where you're sharing a project or some kind of news with a group of people. And it's funny because just a few days prior, you'll have a full moon in Virgo. So there is kind of like an indication that you're already socializing a little bit more. Maybe that leads to a chance connection. Those of you guys who are single Scorpios, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to be broadening your search location. You need to be looking in other places. Try to meet people who live a little bit further away from you. Try to look at other cities. Be more willing to kind of be flexible with where you're living. If this is possible for you guys, it's going to broaden your horizons in terms of who you meet. Equally, people from the past can come back, because you're going to have a lot of placements with like Venus and Mars and stuff in the 4th house. So you might be reconnecting with people you haven't seen in a while. New moon in Aquarius on February 9th. So this will be in your 4th house. This new moon is helping plant a seed for a new home, new family, new residences. Maybe you have a vision or an idea for where you'd like to live, or what you want your home to look like, or how you're going to be designing it. That new moon will square Uranus, so it's just mirroring all of these planets in your home zone, squaring your 7th house, which means there is this building pressure to be like, okay, this needs to change to let relationships evolve. So some of you guys might be at that turning point in a relationship where you're like, we need to move in together. We need to take the next step. Otherwise, we need to be done. Some of you guys may also feel like, family or living situations are definitely pressuring you as well to make some changes in your relationship. For Scorpio, especially if you have anything around like 18 to 22 degrees of Scorpio, this new moon is going to square. And so it's basically saying you kind of have to deal with some of these home and family situations, and it's going to require diplomacy and balance with another person. Counselors, therapists, astrologers, people can be really helpful during this period. And then you'll have a full moon in Virgo on February 24th. It'll be in your 11th house. This is all about socializing, sharing, partying, having a good time. This is a huge focus on networks and friends. And the ruler will be in your 5th house. So it means that you're maybe focusing on sharing some kind of good news with your friends, or maybe, you're able to socialize and then you meet someone. That's basically the long and short of it. For all of the fixed signs, it's going to be the most wild. So at least for you, the transits that are taking place are at the bottom part of your chart. So it's going to be a little bit more private. And let's see what card you get. I get the King of Cups. Well, The fourth house is generally like a Cancer-ish house. It does deal with intuition, emotions, home, family, sensitivity, the past. So it's interesting that you're getting the King of Cups, even if you're a woman, because it's about mastering your emotions, listening to your intuition, being really present with your feelings, you know, learning how to handle emotions in a mature way, you know, really focusing on what you love and how you feel and being responsible about it, right? So it can be that there, you know, this can be you, but it can also be another Scorpio or a Pisces or a Cancer coming in and helping you. It can be about a romantic partner coming in who can be a water sign. But I think it's about mastering your emotions and getting serious about the life that you're potentially going to be building. The fourth house, after all, is the foundation of your home, you know, in the chart, right? This is the most southern part. So it's like, yes, I know a lot of you want career growth. I know a lot of you want a lot of things. But right now, the cosmos are saying, hold on, get your house in order, get everything set here so that way you have that foundation. Build it out now so that way everything can be built upon it. So pay attention to your emotions. They're trying to tell you something. Good luck, Scorpio. We've got Sag and Sag rising. What's going on, my Saggies? I hope you're well. Welcome to February of 2024. I'm going to be talking to you all about what's happening this month. Jupiter's going to stay in Taurus. Nothing's really changing. So you're still going to be focusing on growth with your health habits and daily routines. It might still feel like work, 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 and some more work. We have a massive stellium of planets that are going to be building in the skies in the sign of Aquarius. So when we see this many planets in one sign, it means there's a huge area of focus kind of taking place. So the third house is vehicles, communication. It can be about gadgets, siblings, learning. I call this like the junk drawer in astrology. But basically, you know, the third house, Aquarius, it's sextile Sagittarius. So it does work, air and fire fuel each other. Equally, we're going to see a number of planets that are going to square Jupiter. So this is about your daily routine, your health, and your habits. Too long didn't listen. Communication is so important this month. Third house is how we communicate, whether this is emails, text messages, phone calls, meetings. You know, this is also when you get out and you move around. So if you're feeling restless, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, try journaling, other ways to be able to kind of connect with the third house so you can get all of this energy out. And be mindful that, you know, to me, it seems like there is either upcoming travel opportunities or there's going to be some kind of move coming. It's also possible that there's a lot going on with vehicles or road tripping. And you're having to kind of set your schedule up, right? You're having to make sure that you can get everything done in a timely manner and you can, you know, meet some of your deadlines. This is going to be the theme between now and June, so it's not going to slow down. I encourage you to use not just clear communication skills, but also technology. You know, Aquarius can help you kind of speed up the process of some of the things that you need to get done, and it can kind of help you like get some of this work done some way or another. So the third house is the mind, and it's squaring your daily routine. So it's mind over matter, right? Watch for when planets square Jupiter. That's when you're going to be feeling the pressure, probably from a communication matter or a sibling, or maybe you can kind of see some squirreliness going on with neighbors. On the 4th of the month, Mercury enters into Aquarius. So in January, Sun and Pluto went into Aquarius, so you're focusing on communicating differently. It can also represent, you know, where you're learning to transform the mind and think more positively. So here comes Mercury. Mercury does well in the third house, so this can be a time where you're communicating more, you're kind of running errands more, you know, you're learning something. And Mercury rules relationships and career. So it looks like you're really open to talking about these topics. It looks like it can be a time where you're initiating, focusing on communicating more with a sibling or a partner. Maybe you're building a website, maybe you're creating new social media, blogs, and you know, like YouTube channels and stuff. Like if this is something you want to do, maybe an online store, this is definitely the month that you're going to kind of get working on that. Now on the 5th, you're going to see Mercury come into conjunction with Pluto. And this is where you want to be really careful and like not let the mind play games, because your fears can get the best of you when Mercury and Pluto come into conjunction. There can be a sense of having like difficult conversations and communications with people because You can be fearful, you can be paranoid, there can be stuff coming up where you're assuming worst case scenario, and there can be some very difficult conversations that you're having with siblings. So be mindful of your tone and how you're communicating with people. Then we will see on the 8th, Sun in Aquarius squares Uranus. So likely there is some unexpected changes to travel plans, or there can be some unexpected changes to your work plans, and it can be because of something that's going on with a vehicle or some situation involving a sibling at a distance. Then on the 12th of the month, we're going to see Mars enter into Aquarius. So Mars is your 12th house ruler. It also deals with creativity. Maybe you are using some of your creativity and things that you've been thinking about, and it's inspiring you to talk about something. It's inspiring you to start a new podcast. It's inspiring you to start writing a blog. Maybe it is occult related. Maybe it is about hidden matters. Maybe it's about psychological things. It can be a time when you're also like starting to read a new book, or you're learning something new as well. Mars in the 3rd is going to have you feeling like you want to run around more. So be mindful, more car trips and getting things done and running around town, or you may feel like you need to be going for walks more often or going for bike rides. And you may be writing more or creating more in a digital space. So that comes up here as well. On the 13th, the very next day, Mars conjuncts Pluto. So I feel like, your inner like detective is coming out, and there is a sense of you like wanting to learn more about Aquarius things. So it's a good time to be learning astrology, maybe tarot, and occult sciences because of the connection to Scorpio. It's also a time where you really want to be maybe learning more about dream symbolism and what dreams mean, and like writing things down. Then we're going to see on the 16th of the month, Venus will enter into Aquarius. So Venus is about harmonizing. It's about partnerships and relationships. It is possible that you're communicating more with friends. Maybe you're going on a road trip with a female friend, or you're talking more and connecting more with people in your general work environment, and you're trying to come up with solutions to scheduling changes. Like I said, when in doubt, communicate. Venus is also luxury. So Venus moving into the 3rd house means, maybe you're looking to buy a new vehicle. Maybe you're looking to, make a change to an existing vehicle, or get a bike, or buy a new laptop, things like that. Then we have the same day, Mercury in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus. So as Venus comes in, Mercury squares Uranus. Okay, so it's like, gotta make this purchase, or I gotta make this change, or I gotta fix it. And you're like, oh, this is annoying, rats, like the effect that it has on your schedule. Especially those of you guys who have electric vehicles. I look at all these planets in Aquarius, and I think some of you guys are starting to realize just the gravity of how much of a hassle it might mean having an electric vehicle. And you're realizing between servicing or charging or finding charging and just everything revolving around getting it done, it might seem like it's just a pain in the ass this month. Then we have on the 17th, Venus conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So Venus in the 3rd house. Okay, this could represent some kind of unexpected cost, maybe that's coming to fix something. So it could be one of your gadgets. It might also be where you have an intense exchange with a female relative, like a aunt, uncle, cousin, sister, or an intense exchange with a female neighbor, or maybe somebody at work. Venus-Pluto can be about obsession and fixation, okay? And Venus in the 3rd house can be about more than one person. So it can be that there's like a third party that enters into your life, or it can mean that there's like an intense conversation about love or money with a friend. And then you'll see on the 19th of the month that Chiron will conjunct the North Node in Aries. All right. So Chiron North Node conjunction, stepping up to the plate, healing wounds, especially within ourselves. Aries in the 5th house is revolving around love, self-love, creativity, dating, and Mars is the ruler. So it looks like you're going to be having conversations about what you experienced in childhood, how you're, listening to your inner child, what you're doing to try to bring in more playtime. Maybe you're sharing about it, maybe you're writing about it, maybe you're posting about it on social media, right? Third house. But I feel like writing can be an outlet for healing the self and also being creative, because the fifth house can be performances. So if you're a singer-songwriter, if you're an artist, if you're a dancer, like all of these things can be wonderful ways of having like an outlet, either through movement or through writing or sharing your story, to be able to better kind of express yourself. And then we're going to see on the 21st of the month, Venus will conjunct Mars, okay, in the third house. So this is about like healing, the subconscious. It can also be about your goals. I'll tell you that this is a time where you really want to be mindful of what you're thinking about, what you're saying, because you're almost bringing it into fruition. And the third house is about movement, and the sixth house can be about work and delays in service. Like you might feel like you have to share some of your experiences of highs and lows with other people to help the collective. Sure. But you could also see this as a time where there's just a lot of like mental stresses going on, and you're feeling like you need to make time to like take a time out. Like, Sagittarius energy in general, it always wants to roam, but in the third house, it's like, I really need to get in the car and go out of town. I really need I need a break. Otherwise this energy gets like pent up. So you want to be mindful that, the squares between the third and the sixth can also mean all work, no play, can make you stressed out. It can create intensity in communication. Certainly Mars and Venus in the third house, you could find love on an app. You could find love in your neighborhood. You can go down the street for a walk with your dog and you could meet somebody because this is your local environment. But I think that this is also about feeling more involved in your community. This is about maybe sharing more about local businesses and places that you're shopping and things that you're consuming. And maybe trying to kind of get to know your neighbors a little bit better with the Mars-Venus conjunction. But if you're trying to date, apps might be the way to go there. Equally, with all these planets in conjunction to Pluto in the third house, be mindful that this is a time where driving also feels like it's a little bit of a focus. So be paying attention, because squares from the third to the sixth can also indicate that there's accidents or, not paying attention, and there can be issues that can happen with vehicles. Then you're going to see on the 24th, Venus in Aquarius will square Jupiter. So Venus is pushing you. So there can be some like female friend that's like, yeah, call in sick to work. Like, let's go out of town, or a sister that's saying like, just take some time off. Like, let's go and do something and have fun, who's encouraging you to get outside of your routine. And then you'll see on the 27th, Mars then will square Jupiter as well. I almost feel like there is both like the sense of passion that's coming from the third house, where a new writing project, a potential trip, a relationship with a friend is really encouraging you to get out of your habits, or they're encouraging you to, stay on the path of being healthier and happier. And then we're going to see on the 28th, there will be a conjunction between Sun, Mercury, and Saturn in Pisces. So Mercury's relationships, it's also career. Sun is going to represent, far away, distant travels, and then Saturn is at home. Serious conversations with partners about home and living situations, making decisions about, what these look like, about living together, or about where you're potentially considering living in the future. You may find yourself having to go home for some reason. Certainly the third house can have you on the road. So as we're getting into the second half of February, the second half of February, you may be actually traveling back home. And it might be like where you're introducing your partner to new relatives or to family members or to roommates. It might be a time where, you're connecting and you're hearing from somebody in the past as well. On the 9th of February, you'll see a new moon in Aquarius. So if those of you guys who have been looking to get a new vehicle, after or around the new moon is a good time. We're also not in a Mercury retrograde, so that's good as well. The other thing is that this new moon is a great time after that to launch podcasts or YouTube channels or new radio channels, or if you're wanting to learn something new or write something. or launch websites. And this new moon is going to square Uranus. So it's saying like there's so much busyness or so much of doing that type of work or communicating that it's kind of leaving you a little frazzled because it feels like there's just a bunch of odd jobs that you're doing. So I've said to a lot of people, work with technology, work with like ChatGPT or like other things that can kind of help expedite some of this online administrative stuff that you're trying to do. Then you're going to see that we have a new moon in Virgo and, a full moon in Virgo, tongue-tied, a full moon in Virgo in your natal 10th house. Okay, so this will be on February 24th. Full moons are completions, so this is about your career. So I do feel like this is like changing jobs, getting a new job. This can be about big presentations, big decisions being made about your professional future. This particular full moon is going to oppose Mercury and Saturn in the 4th house. So yes, I see some success and responsibility, but also it goes hand in hand with being like, and I'm working from home now, or, part of my responsibility is knowing when to take a step back, or knowing that, I've done enough and it's time for me to spend time with my family. You're getting pulled between both directions, basically, between what you're doing out in the world and what you need on the home front. Responsibilities for older relatives or home needs or family members, your own personal family members or, kids totally makes sense. So my advice is, try to find that middle balance at the time of the full moon and expect that, around the 28th after the full moon, just in a couple days, when you have this triple conjunction, you're going to be called home for some reason, or there's going to be a need to focus more on, what's going on your home and family front, because Mercury, Saturn is serious conversations about, future home matters, right? Anyway, busy month, obviously. So let's see what the cards are saying for you, my Sagittarians. The card that I get is the Two of Swords. So you're like, do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I have time for this? Do I not have time for this? I've seen this for a lot of Sagittarius risings. It seems like there's a multitude of either new online business opportunities or new writing gigs, or you're trying to break into new businesses and you're coming up with new ideas and you're just like, how do I manage it all? How do I juggle it all? And the truth is that you're going to have to kind of divide and conquer. You're going to have to really look at what's gonna sell, because Mercury is involved in a number of these transits, but also I think it's going to be about what do you actually have time for, and how can you be building a life where maybe you can be bringing in more residual income or doing work from home, and where does that require a need for you to be building out websites or other things, or focusing more on your writing or on your teaching, because that can be a theme. Don't overschedule yourself, because I think that that's another theme that I see between the 3rd and the 6th. You might be taking off saying, hey, I'm traveling or I'm doing something, but you're going to be facing some challenges with some deadlines this month. So plan in advance if you're going to do anything. Weigh your options. Two of Swords tells me that you're kind of going back and forth. It might take you another 2 or 3 weeks or so to be able to kind of make up your mind. Good luck. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. Welcome to February of 2024. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're thriving. We're going to talk all about the transits for the month of February. Obviously, you're ruled by Saturn. And can we get a hallelujah for our Capricorns and Capricorn risings? Pluto's out of your sign. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn is over. You have had your birthday, so it's like, you're having a glow up right now. Saturn's your ruler. The only real aspects you're going to see with Saturn this month is you will see a full moon that will be taking place at the end of the month in Virgo. It'll oppose Saturn. So you may feel like there are relationship situations outside of you, or there may be things going on with travel or with foreigners or teachers that are kind of pulling on you a little bit. Legal matters can come up there too. And you will also see a triple conjunction between Mercury, Saturn, and the Sun. And I think this is about a really important conversation or a document that you're going to sign, something pertaining to like money that might be owed to you, settling out a legal matter or like a money owed situation or an inheritance matter, like some kind of completion coming up in regards to that. If you're waiting for like insurance reimbursement, if you're waiting for like a tax document, it could be that as well. Other than that, not too much stuff going on. You're going to see a lot more that's going to be happening as we get into Pisces season in March. So stay tuned. February 4th. Okay, let's backtrack. Hold on a second. There's a stellium of planets in Aquarius. All right, so all these planets are in your second house. Everybody is experiencing all of these planets in the sign of Aquarius, which is about humanity, the future, doing things in an innovative way. So it's in your second house, all right? And traditionally ruled by Saturn. So there is still some Saturn energy. My hot take on this is this is about some big money themes coming up for you. What your values are, what you possess, what money you have, what you're spending on, that kind of stuff, right? All right, so February 4th, Mercury enters your second house. Mercury can be about legal fees, traveling, or education. So maybe you're having to spend money on that stuff or on health, right? And then you're going to see Mercury come into conjunction with Pluto. So there can be really intense conversations or negotiations involving money or your financial goals. There can also be a bit of a tiff that's brewing about money as well. So watch for that. On the 8th of February, the sun will come into a square with Uranus. So the sun will be in your second house of money. It's going to square Uranus. Personally, you know, second house isn't just money, it's your self-esteem. And I'm going to tell you, you're only going to make as much as you feel that you're worth. So with a really heavy stellium in your second house this month, it's important to be really building yourself up, to be reminding yourself of your value, that you are good enough, that you are worth it. Like you have to really, really do that work. Because when the sun squares Uranus, it might mean that you're recognizing your true talent, what you bring to the table, and like you show up for yourself or you ask for more and then it pays off, right? This can also be a time where there's just unexpected costs relating to hobbies, you know, dating, children, sudden shocks and surprises with your love life. That can come up there too. Be careful with taking chances in investments because it can be a bit of a wild card with that square that day. On the 12th, we're going to see Mars enter Aquarius. So Mars is now in your second house where you're spending money or you're spending money on home or returning back home, visiting home, home purchases, home furnishings. And then we're going to see on the 13th, Mars will come into conjunction with Pluto where you're like, oh my God, things are expensive. This is crazy. Maybe you're moving in with a friend, or maybe you have a friend that's helping you move or save costs when it comes to moving. Maybe it's possible that a friend is like helping you find things that you can purchase or put in your home, or they're giving you things. So that can be helpful. Then we're going to see on the 16th, Mars, I take that back. On the 16th, Venus will enter Aquarius. So Venus coming into the second house is also about luxury. And so I really feel like this is about being like, okay, you know, I can spend a little bit of money. I'm getting some nice stuff. Second house can be everything from jewelry to personal style to food that you eat. So you might be spending more on some of these things this particular month. And we will see Venus come into conjunction with Pluto on the 17th. So there can be something shiny you have your eye on that you really want, that you're like, yes, I'm going to get this. We will also see on the 16th that Mercury in Aquarius will square Uranus. So Mercury in your second house of money squares Uranus. I mean, personally, like I've experienced these squares and it's been like I have a hobby or there's my own business or there's something that I'm creating and all the materials that I need to get for it. Second house can also be farmers markets. It can be open air markets. It can be crystals. It can be resources. So if there's your own business, or maybe if you're getting into crystal healing, crystal jewelry, you're like, I got to get all this stuff to do it. You know, I know that sounds very specific, but it's possible. Otherwise, this is all just like financial stuff. And there's huge things changing in regards to your money and the money that's coming in and what you're spending it on or what you're doing with it. Okay, so then we're going to see on the 19th of the month, Chiron will conjunct the North Node in Aries, encouraging us all to heal our own wounds. But to be honest with you, it's kind of a double whammy for you because it's at a 16 degrees, which deals with home and mother, and it's in the 4th house. If this were me, because Mars is the ruler at the time of the conjunction and Mars is in the 2nd house, there may be money that you're spending to go back home, to be at home. Maybe you're having to spend a lot of money in home repairs. Maybe you're having to, help a mom pay for cost of living expenses. Stuff like that can be going on. So be mindful of what's going on with relatives that are close to you. It might mean that you're just having to pay a lot of money because you're anticipating buying a home or coming into your own space. But maybe you're feeling crafty with all those planets in the 2nd house and it's a lot of DIY stuff. Healing the past is a huge theme, and family, family issues. All right, on the 21st, we're going to see Venus conjunct Mars in Aquarius. So this is nice because we see the 10th house ruler and the 4th house ruler in conjunction. You're spending money, but you're making money. You're feeling really passionate about your new, projects that you're working on. Maybe you're feeling very optimistic about future financial matters. And maybe the squares that are happening to Jupiter is just making all of these things feel larger than life. Also, all these planets are squaring planets in your 5th house. So you're spending money because you want to have fun. You're spending money because you're self-employed or on children. Then we're going to see on the 24th, Venus will square Jupiter. So overdoing it, overeating, over partying, overdoing the pleasure, really indulging, especially in social settings. Then we're going to see Mars on the 27th square Jupiter, and that's also about overdoing it. There may be a lot of things you're having to buy for your home. There may be a lot of things that you're having to invest in, especially if you're moving out on your own, or maybe you're wheeling and dealing and you're selling stuff. So that's possible, and you're trying to lighten your load. Mars can say, I'm coming through here and cutting stuff out. Then we're going to see on the 28th of the month, a Sun, Mercury, Saturn conjunction in Pisces. So by then, the Sun's in Pisces, Saturn is still in Pisces, and Mercury is here. This is important for you because you're Saturn, right? So Mercury's health, it can also represent legal matters or teachers. So Mercury, Saturn, and the Sun are going to conjunct. Like I said, I think you're signing a lease. I think you're buying a car. I think you're signing an important legal document. I think you're having to file some kind of paperwork. There can be also some challenges with neighbors, people who are complaining about stuff. Pay attention to what's going on with your vehicles as well. The fact that, we're going to see like a Cazimi happening with Mercury and the Sun does make me feel like it's going to be about some information that's kind of being revealed, right? And maybe it's being revealed to you about what direction a work or a travel matter is going to go. Now, on the 9th of the month, we will see a new moon in Aquarius, where you're planting new seeds when it comes to money and resources. You're focusing more on what you're bringing in, building up your self-esteem, focusing on making more. And this is when you want to be doing your abundance rituals and your abundance money magic stuff. This will square Uranus. So it's basically saying like, okay, get with the program. Don't just say you're going to do it. Don't just invest in, the materials, go and create it, right? This is also pushing you to express yourself in wild new ways. It's encouraging you to believe in love. It's encouraging you to take chances, to be authentic in your creative sense of self. Then we're going to see a full moon in Virgo, which will be taking place in your 9th house of higher mind, education, travel, your belief system and philosophy. It's in a sister sign, so it's really friendly with Capricorn, and you should be experiencing an Earth trine here, so that's really nice. Basically, when we see a full moon in the 9th, we graduate or get accepted into a program. We complete a program. We get a license. We finish up a lawsuit. We have a meeting with a mentor or a teacher. There is some sense of becoming more aware of what our beliefs are And what's interesting is at the time of the full moon, the ruler will be Mercury, and it'll be conjunct Saturn, which means you are likely seeking out that person. You're like, okay, I need to talk to somebody about my visa, or I need to, you know, book an appointment with a counselor, or I need to get a reading. Like, you're going to be seeking somebody out who can kind of help you. And that's to kind of give you some vision for the future. So that full moon is actually really important for you, Capricorn. Make sure you work with it. And communication is going to be key. So it's about learning how to ask somebody for their perspective before you kind of navigate a certain document situation or a travel situation. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say for you. The cards that I get is the Queen of Wands. This is good. This is what I want to see. I feel like the one element that's really lacking, obviously, this month is fire, right? We don't have a lot of it. We got a lot of planets in Aquarius, and we've got some Taurus, and we've got some Pisces, but we're not really seeing a lot of fire unless, you know, the moon's going through a fire sign. So this is actually really indicating, I think, the 4th, 8th, and 12th houses. So you can have a connection with an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius this month. Equally, this can be you. So this can be about you tapping into your own inner artist, feeling like you're willing to take more chances, feeling inspired, feeling kind of spicy, right? And this is about what you create. So it's interesting that you're seeing so much pressure to your 5th house, which is kind of like naturally a creative energy. So really, confidence is the key this month. You know, you might meet somebody who helps you build on that. It might also mean when you're really starting to kind of feel like, okay, anything is possible. There are some big love stories that will be brewing for you guys in March, April, May of this year. And so I feel like right now it's about preparing for that if you're going to be starting a family, or if you're going to be moving in with someone, or if you're going to be, you know, trying to kind of get all your financial ducks in an order so that way you can do more of the things that you love later this year. Look for that support. Otherwise, you can call on the Queen of Wands as somebody who's going to help you feel more confident and really work with all these planets in the 2nd house. Good luck. All right, so we have my Aquarius and Aquarius risings. First of all, welcome to February 2024. This is a very big month for you. Everybody is looking at the stellium of planets in your sign. So I want to remind you guys that you're like little archetypes for kind of showing the world how to be a leader, how to tap into the future. Yes, it's probably, if you have a birthday this month, going to be a birthday for the books. And what more can I say other than that? That's pretty much it. So happy birthday if you are a February Aquarian. Well, pretty much every planet, and this started in January, has come into contact with Pluto. So you want to think about the 20th and the 21st. Pluto went into your sign. There is both an ending and a beginning. You're embracing something new about yourself. There's a big change going on. So we're going to see a ton of planets that are going to come into contact with Pluto this month, which means you are being asked to make changes to the themes of those planets. The change starts with you. You can go with it or you can go against it. There can be big changes also to your physical appearance, your body, your health, and how you dress and how people perceive you. At the end of the month, we will also see conjunctions to Saturn, which is your traditional ruler. So it is possible that there is still more that's kind of brewing that's coming up this month in regards to your eating habits, your financial habits, and your self-esteem. All these planets in the 1st house are bringing attention to how you look, how your body feels, and also you independently outside of other people. The irony is that the sun's going through Aquarius, so this can be a lot about the relationship to yourself. It can also be where like other people are kind of helping assist you in some really big change. Now, the first planet this month to enter your sign is Mercury, which means you're going to be a little bit more of a chatterbox. You're focusing more on moving around, communication, sharing, especially when it comes to younger people, children, creativity, and romance. On the 5th, Mercury and Pluto will come into conjunction. So it's possible that there is some big change going on with you in terms of children and how you communicate with children. Maybe you're focusing more on what you love. You're feeling more dramatic, more passionate. It can be a time where you're seeking romance and you're seeking new forms of self-expression through writing or sharing or creating. It is also possible with Pluto on your ascendant and Mercury here that this can be an indication that there is potential new energy for projects, but that can also be pregnancy energy as well. On the 8th of February, you're going to see Sun in Aquarius in your sign squaring Uranus. Okay, so here's the good news, right? All the planets in Aquarius are superior to Jupiter and Uranus. So you're the one sign that actually is kind of like saying, no, these changes on the home front, they need to happen. So if you're telling your family, hey, we need to move, if you're telling somebody they need to move out of your space, if you're telling your family, hey, I'm coming to stay, you're kind of running the roost this particular month. So there's a much more assertive side to you. Anyway, with Sun square Uranus, it's like your actions are promoting big changes within the home front or within the family, and like family may be shocked and surprised by this in some way. The other way of looking at this is like, you know, the Sun represents relationships, so your relationship with other people, and the focus on other people is changing the way that you relate to your family. So if you know, have kids and you're remarried, it can mean that you're kind of saying like, hey, you know, like we have to take into consideration my partner too, and you're kind of dealing with blended family situations. It could also mean that you're prioritizing your relationship with your partner, and you're, you know, having to kind of stand up to your family or to your roommates about that. So watch for some shocks and surprises that can come up with the Sun square Uranus. All right, so then we're going to see on the 12th, Mars enters your sign. So Mars is moving into the first house. It's on your ascendant. You're feeling active. You're feeling passionate. You are definitely ready to tell people what's up, because Mars rules communication and assertiveness. So you're going to be feeling kind of bossy. Mars is well in the first house, but you know, Aquarius energy is like, don't tell me what to do. So there is this sense of you really telling people like, get with the program. Like, we have to be focused on the future. You know, this is what I need to be doing. So there's a very walk the walk, talk the talk type of vibe. With Mars coming into conjunction with Pluto, though, I do feel like it is very likely that, you know, you can be feeling the 12th and the 13th that, you know, it's your way or the highway. And there can be a sense of you holding yourself to really high standards and kind of, you know, projecting that onto other people. So I would tell you, be more concerned with what you're doing this month rather than telling family members or partners or other people what to do. So much of being an Aquarian, you know, is going your own way. And so I'm going to tell you, you can't change necessarily the people in your life, but you can change how you respond to them. You can also change how you're living your life, and you can hope that other people will follow in your footsteps. So encourage other people to not be afraid to go their own way, to be independent, to speak out, to stand up for themselves. That's how you use this energy, to be brave and not be afraid to upset the status quo. Mars and Pluto conjunct on the 13th, and then on the 14th, then on the 16th, Venus comes into your sign. So, ooh, I like this. So Venus will sit in your sign or on your ascendant on the 16th. And the 16th and the 17th, Venus will conjunct Pluto. Sexy energy. Take a picture of yourself, because with Venus and Pluto in conjunction in your sign, really great for just, getting some really, really sexy pics. Beautiful photos too. Things that are just very intriguing. You know, people can't like look away. Something you will see on the 16th is that Mercury in your sign, right when Venus moves in, Mercury in your sign, where you're focusing on communication, will come into a square with Uranus. So it's almost like what you're saying is not meshing well with home, family, or relatives, like you're not agreeing or seeing eye to eye. So watch for that. On the 17th, Venus will conjunct Pluto. On the 19th, we're going to see Chiron conjunct the North Node in the 3rd house, where you're learning to communicate and talk about your wounds. You're writing about your experiences. You're trying to heal a relationship, probably with a sibling. There can be some communication breakdowns with a sibling. There can be some arguments with a sibling because Mars rules Aries and it's in your 1st. So you're kind of trying to direct them, or you're trying to be assertive, or maybe you're writing as a form of healing, and you're going to keep doing that. Then we're going to see on the 21st, Venus will conjunct Mars in your sign. Ooh la la. So Mars and Venus in your first house, feeling very passionate, very creative. It's kind of hard for you to hold back all of this energy. It's just first house Aquarius is just you're flying your, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. You're flying your freak flag. Like there is a sense of just being like, I don't really care. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. So something really kind of loud and passionate and dramatic is kind of coming through. You may be feeling really inspired to want to tell a story or write or share something with people. You may be prompted to start thinking about planning a trip or travel in some way as well. So you're feeling a little like restless. What else? So then we're going to see on the 24th, Venus will square Jupiter. So you're really pushing for changes and expansion on the home and on the family, and you're feeling optimistic about the future. Watch for overspending when it comes to home or family goods. And then on the 27th, Mars in your sign will square Jupiter as well. I'm wondering, are some of you guys considering moving? Are you looking at new spaces? Are you like, okay, it's time to like find another place to call home, or it's time to relocate, or you know, like getting out there and like road tripping and trying to find a place where you could potentially like reside. I get that impression with Mars square Jupiter. You're like, anything is possible. Let's see what else is out there. And you're really encouraging your family to expand and grow, or you're encouraging your roommates to say, hey, let's find like a bigger place. Or maybe you're talking with friends about sharing a space or buying property. You're looking for new community. That's really the feeling that I'm getting. Then we're going to see on the 28th of the month, Sun, Mercury, and Saturn will conjunct in Pisces. Okay, so by then, the Sun's in your second house of finances and personal possessions. It rules partnerships. Saturn is going to be there. That's you. And you're going to have Mercury there, which is going to be kiddos or communication or romantic partners. So investing more in your sense of creativity and, you know, potentially what you create and what you sell. Creating new products or new services if you own your own business, and pricing them out and figuring out, you know, how to get them out there. Maybe you're feeling as if, you know, because of a home or a family situation or a child situation, you want a bigger space and you want to expand where you're living. That's an option. Watch for serious conversations involving money and resources, signing contracts, you know, taking out loans, agreeing to things. That'll be around the 28th. Now on February 9th, you'll have a new moon in Aquarius in your sign. So new moon, new you, with all these planets here, I think it's very clear that it's setting the stage for you to be like, I need a change. You'll take about 6 months for that to fully transpire. But what I will say is that this new moon will square Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. So it's basically saying, yeah, I am creating this change. I'm uprooting. I'm, you know, feeling travel happy. I, you know, need new places to call home, or I need some kind of uprooting of the same old, same old. So that will happen. And then we're going to see a full moon in Virgo, which will be in your 8th house. And this will be February 24th at 5 degrees. Other people's money, resources, taxes, joint resources, inheritance. And the ruler will be Mercury in the second house conjunct Saturn. So it does tell me that you and another person are having to have conversations about what you're spending, what you're investing, what you're looking to potentially buy. I think that with the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, like you and another person can be making a big financial decision together. And obviously the 8th house is other people. So going back and forth about how to navigate that. Or, you know, if you want to expand your home, do you take a loan? Do you seek resources in another person? That's building off of that conjunction you'll see on the 28th. So whatever happens with the full moon, likely you're starting to get that answer somewhere around the 28th, where, you know, I feel like the Sun and Mercury tells me that you're getting the loan, you're getting the credit extension, you're getting an okay on the credit card, like you're getting the resources that you need to be able to make the expansion that you need. So it looks positive to me. My goodness, you're gonna have to come back and tell me what happens this month, because this is just like, for everybody it's wild, but it's especially wild for you. And what I have observed in recent years when we've seen these stelliums, like when we had Saturn in Aquarius, it's very much like we're going to do things that's so out there and so about the future and get so out of our comfort zone that it's good for us, but it's also scary at the same time. So please be that person out in the world that's encouraging everybody to be thinking about the future and creating a better world for everybody involved. The card that I get for you is the Eight of Cups. So this is the card of like moving on, moving away, picking up. Leaving something behind, which I really think is the Pluto transit. There is no denying that there is a brand new life that is awaiting you right now. And I think you know it. I think you feel it. I think you recognize and you realize that it can be bittersweet, that in order to have these new things, you have to leave people, places, familiar spaces. But it's all for this evolutionary growth that you're going to be experiencing really throughout the next couple of months. Personally, I feel inclined to tell you that if you're feeling very passionate about something or doing something, get the show on the road, because you can very much be seeing some of these big changes, relocations, new opportunities, new family things, and having just so much fullness when you're getting to about May of this year. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is going to happen in mid-April, and then we'll see that energy roll until we get to about May. So, yeah, if you're feeling restless, answer that call and be willing to walk away from certain things to embrace new opportunities, okay? Good luck. And last but certainly not least, we have Pisces and Pisces rising. Of course, it would just start like pouring behind me when it's Pisces, right? Very Jupiter, Neptune-ish. So for you guys, welcome to February 2024. This is going to be the astrology for the month ahead. If you happen to be a February Pisces, happy birthday to you. I hope it's a good one. We've got some really interesting energies this month. I want to start by talking a little bit about your chart ruler. So obviously Jupiter is going to stay in Taurus. Nothing is really happening yet. We'll inch closer to the conjunction to Uranus in April. What I will tell you is that we will see several planets that are going to square Jupiter. So that seems to be really important because you're going to be feeling pressured to communicate, travel, write, share, move, learn, right? Especially about food, money, vehicles. So you'll feel pressure, and it's so weird because all of these planets are in your 12th house. So we're coming into your birthday soon. This is the month that things are kind of wrapping up before you have this new year. So you may be feeling much more private. You might need to rest a little bit. You might be feeling maybe a little independent, a little under the weather. That can happen here too. I don't like saying that, but that's possible because when all these planets are in the 12th house, it's more or less kind of saying like, okay, certain things are kind of coming to an end. We're preparing for this next cycle. All of the 12 signs are experiencing this massive stellium of planets in Aquarius, which represents kind of like the dawn of a new era. So for you, it's happening behind the scenes. So this is like in foreign lands, in private rooms, in hospitals, in healing centers, in temples, in meditation, in your dreams, in your sleep, all that fun stuff. And so it's kind of funky to see all of this here right before everything crosses into your sign. This is a month where I would be actively focusing on faith and faith-building exercises, meditation, release and letting things go, traveling to places if you can, and just being patient until you see planets come back into Pisces, where you're going to kind of have like this renewal. So watch for the squares to Jupiter. Also, we're going to see a full moon in your relationship sector this month, so there might be some big news revolving around a relationship. And whether or not you see yourself wanting to be in a relationship, or if you would rather be alone and take your space. All right, so on February 4th, we will see Mercury enter into the 12th house. Mercury rules relationships and family. So it's possible that there's certain situations that are kind of wrapping up and coming to an end with where you've been living, you know, where you've been staying, where you've been at in regards to a relationship or a family matter. And Pluto will come into conjunction with Mercury. So if a relationship is going to end, it would be then. Or it's building towards the full moon. But you might get news that somebody's like, hey, you know, I need some space, or hey, you know, this is where I've been, or I'm working through an issue. The 12th house is your subconscious, but this is also the 6th house for other people. So you may notice that, partners are having health matters, or they're going through some squirreliness, or they need some time apart, or they need some space to clear their mind. When Mercury conjuncts Pluto, it's possible that they're going through this, or a family member is. That's the other way of looking at it. And that'll be on the 5th. And then on the 8th of the month, we're going to see Sun in Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. So Sun in the 12th house square Uranus means there's some kind of tension revolving around health and healing and habits. And also, like mental stress. I mean, if you're stressed or frazzled or you're feeling overwhelmed, you got to take that time to be alone, to integrate. Watch for, if you're having health issues, it can be because you're not getting adequate sleep. It can be because there's too much mental stress. It could also be because there's conflicts with siblings that are stressing you out, or people won't leave you alone. Turn your phone off, put it on airplane mode, or stress in communicating, with siblings. Third house can be breathing or the lungs, so there can also be a need to really focus on your breathing as well. Breath work can help. Then we're going to see on the 12th, Mars enters Aquarius. So then Mars is in your 12th house, okay? So Mercury, Mars, Sun, Pluto are all in your 12th house at this moment. And this might indicate traveling abroad, studying something, taking time to kind of diffuse anger and frustration. There can be suppressed anger that can be coming up. We want to let that go. This can also be a time where you're starting to realize that there are some big changes that's kind of coming for the collective in regards to money and resources. Pay attention to gut intuition or hunches or dreaming all month long. It is possible with Mercury, Mars, and Pluto in the 12th house, you're noticing a series of you can be having nightmares or really intense dreams. The 12th house can be past life. So it is possible that there is a lot of clearing going on in your sleep, or a lot of healing emotionally. Then we're going to see on the 13th, Mars conjuncts Pluto in the 12th house. So this can be a time where you really want to watch for self-undoing, loss of faith, crisis in faith can be coming up here. It can be a time where you're like, oh my God, is it the end of the world? But no, it's not the end of the world. It's just something that you're kind of letting go in terms of what you used to believe in. I have a feeling this is world and global events, and this is you looking around being yep, just been waiting for this to happen. And Aquarius can be about the future, and it can also be a time where it's time to get still and you just wait for everything to kind of flush out. Then we're going to have on the 16th, Venus enters Aquarius. So you got Venus, Mars, Sun, Mercury, Pluto, all the 12th house. It's what? So basically everything is coming to a grand finale. And there's so many planets here that unless you're going and getting your doctorate, or unless you're, going and being in a retreat center, or, you're in a hospital, or you're in a rehab, it's you're just having to sit back and be none of this is real. Everything is changing. The matrix is breaking down. I'm getting ready to embrace, this new thing that's coming. I'm just preparing. Saturn in your first house is saying you're just waiting for these changes to happen. But yeah, great time if you're having stress, anxiety, worries, irrational fears, to work with a hypnotherapist, to work with a healer, to work with a shamanic practitioner. Energy healing can be really helpful too, as you're kind of clearing out all these old vibrations, because that's really what Aquarius is. Vibrationally, we're all going through a shift with Pluto here. So maybe you're having a little bit of an energetic tune-up. Maybe listening to binaural beats before you go to sleep can also be helpful in kind of calming your nerves. Then we're going to see on the 16th, Venus enters in Aquarius. So this can be also kind of love behind the scenes. With Mars and Venus in the 12th house, it can be very passionate love affairs with foreigners and people who are culturally different, but you're private about it. On the 16th, Mercury will also square Uranus. So there can be some communication breakdowns. Maybe you've met somebody, but you guys speak different languages, or it's difficult connecting. And so you're having to find ways to translate something. Also, there can be lots of phone calls or text messages and back and forth with some kind of romantic partner behind the scenes. Maybe you're trying to communicate and talk to a partner, and you're only able to talk to them through text or through an app. It's the other way of looking at it. It can be because of travel, or maybe because you're you know, consciously taking a break from technology. Then we're going to see Venus conjunct Pluto in the 12th house. And this to me makes me feel like there is some dramatic change to the way that you look at love and relationships. There can also be ending of certain relationships, or conversations of ending things, or feeling tempted to kind of see what else is out there secretly. On the 19th, you're going to have Chiron conjunct the North Node in Aries. So this is in the 2nd house of money, resources, and self-esteem, ruled by Mars, and Mars is in the 12th. So to me, it's about combating issues with self-esteem, tackling, you know, fears of not having enough money, not having enough resources, learning to let go, to trust the universe, to know that you're going to be provided for, that you're going to have what you need. Really focusing on self-esteem and, you know, growing in terms of your own self-sufficiency with money, being able to provide for yourself and believing in that. So much of the 12th house is about envisioning things before it happens. So you're going to have to sit, manifest, create the vision board, you know, really think about, dream about, pray about what it is that you want, what it is that you're building. Then on the 21st, you're going to see Venus conjunct Mars. So this is really passionate. Venus and Mars in the 12th house, some kind of love affair going on behind closed doors. It can be with a romantic partner. It can be unconventional. It can be different. It can be unusual than what you typically go for. Secret admirers and kind of, magical encounters can happen there. Then we're going to have on the 24th, Venus will square Jupiter. So I think an overabundance of communication, connection, feeling really inspired, especially if you write music, if you write poetry, if you're inspired and want to do creative work behind the scenes that you might be showing in the spring. That's a wonderful transit for that. Mars then on the 27th will square Jupiter. So this is feeling confident in some of the effort that you're putting into some of these creative endeavors. 12th house can also be, you know, sacrifice, what you're willing to sacrifice for love, what you're willing to sacrifice for, you know, creativity. And it may only come when you're by yourself. I can think of in particular, like an artist that I like quite a bit that has Pisces sun, Pisces rising, Mars and Venus in the 12th. And I find that he goes through periods of times where it'll be years before he puts out an album. And then when he does, he's like, oh, I was, you know, by myself, held up in this house for, you know, a couple of months and wrote this album and did it by myself. And he'll kind of go missing for periods of time. And then like something really amazing comes of it. So you may be going through that dark night of the soul right now with all these planets in your 12th house. And you're like, what is this? Why am I by myself? What am I doing? And I would feel inclined to tell you, like, take a step back and look at this as the opportunity where you can use this as your private space to be able to create from. You can use this to connect with your higher self, your spirit team. This is also church and ritual and prayer and, you know, connecting with the cosmos and like kind of feeling like you're being divinely guided. So there is a method to the madness here, even if it feels a little wonky. Just watch for... you know, maybe 12th house can also be like self-sabotage, you know, where you're keeping yourself from speaking your mind, where you're keeping yourself from getting out of the bed and, you know, doing things in the morning. And you feel like there's these like hidden forces, but Saturn's in your 1st house, which means you are the one limiting yourself, right? You have to be willing to kind of get out of a funk, start new. And then on the 28th, we're going to see Sun, Mercury, and Saturn conjunct in Pisces. So it'll be in your 1st house. So Sun represents health or sacrifice or assistance or work or career. Mercury is other people. It's also home and family. And Saturn's in your 1st house. Like that conjunction on the 28th is really important for telling family, for telling partners, where you're at, what you need, for making serious commitments to yourself, about relationship to yourself, about where you want to live, about what you want. It's almost like I think you're going to come out of several weeks of being on your own and having time to reflect and kind of sitting in meditation. And you'll have something really significant to write, say, share. You'll have something that you'll want to tell people, I think, at the end of February with that conjunction. Pay attention to your health because it's in your 1st house of body, conjunct the 6th house of health. So maybe you've been feeling a little like you're self-isolating, maybe you've been under the weather, and now you want to tell people where you've been or why you've been retreating, or, you know, what's been going on with you. Well, likely because you'll have that full moon in your 7th house where there's big conclusions going on with relationships, and you're telling other people, you know, what you want or what you do not want. You're settling some relationship themes. Before that, though, on the 9th of February, you'll have a new moon in Aquarius. So it'll be in your 12th house of what's hidden and subconscious. Still with a lot of planets in the 12th house, and it's going to square Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius. So it's prompting you to speak up, communicate, share, write, tell people what's up, learn something. I've seen a lot of people wanting to learn astrology with this transit. I've seen a lot of people wanting to learn tarot or getting into channeling or automatic writing. So this can be the new moon where you're like, okay, I'm setting the intention to create that time to do more of this work, or develop the skills or the tools to kind of tap in. And it isn't anything goes type of new moon because it's going to square Uranus. So it's encouraging all of us to get up to speed with, you know, future, in your case, communications, travel, you know, financial learning, language barriers that you're breaking through, and maybe overcoming any fears that you have about traveling or driving. That could be coming up for you also. Anyway, on the 24th, we're going to see a full moon in Virgo. So this is when we see big completions and conclusions in relationships. If you've been getting to know somebody, this can be a defining moment where whether or not you commit to each other. I can see proposals, engagements, marriages happening around these full moons. What's interesting, though, is that a bunch of planets are coming into your first house of self. And then you have a full moon in Virgo ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's conjunct Saturn. So you're in the driver's seat, you're deciding what you want, you're going to tell other people where, when, how high. It could be that you're proposing to someone. It could be that you're telling someone, hey, you know what, I've been thinking about it for the last couple of weeks, I'm good, I want to be by myself, I'd rather be alone. It could be a time where you're getting ready to reveal something to someone, and primarily because the Sun and Mercury will come into conjunction, so it's going to show that there is some kind of communication coming out, or maybe, you know, you have an awareness of what you want in a relationship and you're sharing that with someone. The challenging thing is that the full moon will boast the Sun in opposition to Saturn and the moon conjunct, the Sun conjunct Saturn and the moon in opposition to that. So it does kind of represent something at a distance. So it can be somebody who's further away. It can also represent a breaking apart. But strong relationships will make it through. Don't worry about it. I just really feel like you really need your time right now. You need time to pause and reflect. And if you're given that time, there shouldn't be too much conflict in relationships, but really pay attention to whether or not you're communicating efficiently in relationships. If you're ignoring phone calls, text messages, things like that, that full moon can bring up some drama because you haven't been communicating efficiently with another person. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say. You'll have to let me know how this is manifesting for you with all these planets in the 12th house, because certainly for some people it's like, yeah, I went to a remote location for 3 weeks, or, you know, I have been doing nothing but studying for exams and I haven't been socializing, or I just got out of the hospital. I've heard that before. Okay, so I've got the Page of Pentacles. So this is good. This is good. This is about opportunities that you're getting for focusing on health and wellness, for new opportunities with your finances, for rebuilding yourself, right? I think all these things are true. You know, yes, earth signs like Tauruses, Virgos, Capricorns, they can all come into your life right now. In particular, Virgos, because I'm looking at that full moon in your 7th house. So if a Virgo comes in, or if you're dealing with a Virgo or somebody who has Virgo placements, pay attention. Pages are about learning something new. So when I think of this, I kind of feel like you're being prompted to learn new ways to be more efficient or self-reliant when it comes to money. So you're trying to say, well, how can I learn more about resources? How can I build on that? How can I be more independent? Page of Pentacles can indicate you're learning new skills, or that there is new financial opportunities that are coming your way, which I would say anyway. That's definitely going to be the case in, March and April, because you'll see eclipses and stuff there. But right now, it's like you're kind of winding down and letting go of things that haven't been working. So if you want to learn a new skill, if you're wanting to teach yourself more about financial health and wellness, I recommend doing that. I also feel like the page is saying you have to really prioritize the self first, and you have to kind of get your sea legs about you, and really focus on putting one foot in front of the other. So that's going to be in communication, that's going to be in relationships, that's going to be in your goals, earth houses. Watch for some kind of financial news that might come through. You know, maybe these are going to be the planets in the 12th house square Jupiter, Uranus, where you had a dream that, you know, you got a new job, or you had a dream that you received a check, and then you do. Because the 12th house can represent these visions of things that are coming, that's showing us, I'm moving, I got a new job, or I, you know, had to change cars. You might start having feelings about some of these things moving into the future. Anyway, happy birthday if your birthday is this month, and I hope this was helpful for you, my Pisces. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be February 2024 at a glance. Thank you guys once again so very much for your likes, your comments, your shares. For everybody who supports the channel and makes it possible for me to keep doing this. You guys rock. You're amazing. I'm wishing all of you guys a happy month ahead and a happy Valentine's Day. And if you don't have a Valentine, I'll be your Valentine. Leave me a comment below. When you guys get through this month, I'd love to hear how this is playing out for everybody. In my opinion, this is one of the bigger transits all year long. This stellium in Aquarius I've been looking at for a while. And it is the build up to all of us getting kind of projectile launched into the future in the spring. So lean into the changes, focus on passion, build community, do all of those Aquarian things, and I will catch you guys back here next month in the month of March. Until next time, I'll see all of you very soon. You guys take care.